माय बर्थडे गिफ्ट टू पापा, ये उनके पापा की पहली गाड़ी एक गराज में पड़ी थी दार्जिलिंग में। फिर 3 मैकेनिक, पेंटिंग, पॉलिशिंग। जब इसे फाइनली घर लाया ना, तब लगा लाइफ में ग्रो किया है। बुलाओ।
SIP करो, इन्वेस्ट करो, लाइफ में ग्रो करो।
प्रतिभूति बाजार में निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। निवेश करने से पहले सभी संबंधित दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
Finesta windows, beautiful and durable designs, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Fine, finer, Finesta.
We see the problems, but you as a social entrepreneur see the solutions. You are not just creating solution, you are creating a future where everyone has a chance to thrive. For the change makers, the innovators, the ones
Good evening, you're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Padmaja Joshi and this is where on every story that matters, on every big issue of the day, the buck stops here. It's been 3 days now since the plaque bearing the national emblem at Hazrat Bal Shrine in Srinagar was vandalized, and now the politics over it, the anger over the desecration is spreading across the country. After Kashmir-based parties like the NC and PDP defended the vandalism, now even the Congress, it seems, has joined in with a shocking defense. Remember, sources have told NDTV that the Jammu and Kashmir police is now set to arrest those who are behind the desecration. Over the next 24 hours, those arrests will take place. All of these people are being identified from video and CCTV footage. Close to 50 people have already been taken in for questioning. But with the arrest seeming imminent, Congress MP Tariq Anwar now jumped in saying that such an action, such arrests are unnecessary because what has happened. जो कर दिया वो कर दिया।
मैं उमर अब्दुल्ला साहब के बयान से सहमत हूँ, जो उन्होंने कहा है कि धार्मिक स्थल पर कहीं भी हिंदुस्तान के किसी कोने में भी किसी मंदिर, किसी मस्जिद, किसी द्वारका, किसी भी जगह पर वो पाया नहीं जाता है। और इसलिए वहाँ पर अगर जो किया है वो ठीक नहीं है, मैं उसके पक्ष में नहीं हूँ, लेकिन ऐसा माना जाता है कि धार्मिक स्थल पर इसकी कोई आवश्यकता नहीं।
जी, वो राष्ट्रीय प्रतीक लगाना गलत है अगर, तो भी जो तरीका था कट्टरपंथियों का, क्या उसकी आप निंदा करेंगे, कार्रवाई की मांग करेंगे?
हाँ, नहीं, कार्रवाई की कोई मांग नहीं करेंगे। हमारा इतना ही कहना है कि जो था वो गलत था, और उसको जो है उमर अब्दुल्ला साहब का बयान बहुत साफ है, स्पष्ट है कि किसी भी धार्मिक स्थल पर अशोक चक्र नहीं होता है।
लेकिन जिन्होंने सर इस तरीके से किया उन पे कार्रवाई नहीं होनी चाहिए?
कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है, अब उन्होंने कर दिया तो कर दिया।
लेकिन सर आप माफ़ करिएगा, लेकिन आप सांसद हैं, राष्ट्रीय प्रतीक के साथ इस तरीके का दुर्व्यवहार अगर होता है तो उन पे कार्रवाई, तो सख्त कार्रवाई की मांग की उम्मीद कर रहा था मैं, क्या आप ये कहेंगे?
नहीं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं। मैं समझता हूँ कि उमर अब्दुल्ला साहब का बयान बहुत साफ है, स्पष्ट है। हम लोग को उन्हीं की बयान को महत्व देना चाहिए।
Imagine that. जो कर दिया वो कर दिया. That is what a member of Parliament of the Congress is saying about the defacing of our national emblem. Technically, the defacing of the very idea of India, the sovereignty of our country. In Kashmir, meanwhile, parties like the National Conference and PDP continue to insist that the real culprit is the chairperson of the Waqf Board, who is a BJP appointee, Darakshan Andrabi. PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti has urged the J&K police to file a case against Andrabi for hurting religious sentiments and even blasphemy, but now the issue threatens to balloon beyond just blasphemy and Hazrat Bal. In poll season, the BJP has called this an insult not to India alone, zone, but specifically to Bihar by the INDIA Gathbandhan. Realizing the potential damage such an issue can cause in election season, the RJD tried to distance itself from the controversy. Tejasvi Yadav said all of this was unnecessary. He's got nothing to do with it. The Congress has got nothing to do with it. But with the stand taken now by a member of parliament of the Congress, could things get comfortable and very unavoidable?
आज दो ऐसी चीजें जो कहीं न कहीं पूरे बिहार की संवेदनाओं को, पूरे बिहार के भावनाओं को और बिहारी पिता को ठेस पहुंचाती है। के हजरत बल में जिस प्रकार अशोक चिन्ह जो कि सम्राट अशोक ने अशोक स्तंभ में स्थापित किया था, उसे तोड़ा गया। और कुछ नेताओं का यह भी कहना है कि क्या आवश्यकता थी वहां अशोक चिन्ह का होना। उसे जिस प्रकार से तोड़ा गया है, ये न केवल देश का अपमान है, यह अशोक सम्राट और स्वाभाविक रूप से अशोक सम्राट और बिहार, उनका जो मिलान है, बिहारी का ही अपमान है कि आप अशोक चिन्ह को तोड़ेंगे।
ये सब फालतू की चीजें जो है ना, कौन क्या कह रहा है, जिसने किया है उस पर कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए। इसमें आरजेडी और कांग्रेस का क्या लेना देना। आप लोगों को कुछ दिन पहले माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी ने राजगीर में राष्ट्रगान का पुनः अपमान किया। कोई खबर आप लोग दिखाएं क्या? मुख्यमंत्री है, वो अपमान कर रहे, एक बार नहीं दो बार, तो वो तो खबर आप लोग चलाते नहीं। कहाँ का कौन क्या कर रहा है हम लोग पे थोप रहे।
लेकिन जिन्होंने सर इस तरीके से किया उस पे उन पे कार्रवाई नहीं होनी चाहिए?
कोई जरूरत नहीं है, अब लोग कर दिया तो कर दिया।
ये दरगाह जो बनी है यहाँ के लोगों के, या कोई भी जो यहाँ पे ज़ियारतें हैं, वो यहाँ के लोगों के पैसे से बनी हुई है, किसी के मेहरबानी से नहीं बनी। यहाँ पे जब ये बनी कोई बोर्ड नहीं लगा, शेर कश्मीर ने अपना नाम नहीं लिखा हुआ, क्योंकि अल्लाह के नाम पे था और उसके रसूल के नाम पे था। मगर इन्होंने जो गलती की, इन्होंने वहाँ बोर्ड लगाया, वो लोगों को पसंद नहीं आया, उन्होंने कहा ये गलत है।
The physical representation, manifestation of living beings, animals is banned. It is prohibited. हमारे दीन में इसको शिर्क कहा जाता है। ये सबसे बड़ी तौहीन है, गुस्ताखी है। अगर एम्बलम के बदले कुछ और भी वहाँ प्लैक पे होता तो इन लोगों का वही रिएक्शन होता, बजाय इसके कि आप हमारे जज्बात समझे, हमारे रिलीजियस सेंटिमेंट समझे। आप ऊपर से हमें ही पुलिस थाने में लेके हमारे अगेंस्ट एफआईआर कर रहे हैं।
जो वहाँ पे पहले गलती हुई, उस गलती का किसी ने न माफी मांगी, न हमें समझाने की कोशिश की। लेकिन उसके बाद जब लोगों के जज्बात सामने आए तो सारा जो है इंतजामिया का गुस्सा उनके खिलाफ। पहले तो जिस वजह से ये हुआ उसका हमें समझा दीजिए, क्या जरूरत पड़ी थी ये पत्थर लगाने की।
And that brings us to the big questions today on which the buck stops here. With the BJP calling the national emblem desecration an insult to the idea of India itself, an attack on the constitution, and the subsequent defense of this act by Omar Abdullah, PDP and Congress leaders, will this end up being a big political headache for the opposition alliance far, far beyond the boundaries of Srinagar and Jammu and Kashmir? Joining us today on the show, we have Daraksha Nandrabi, who is the chairperson of the Jammu and Kashmir Waqf Board, Tuhin Sinha, national spokesperson of the BJP, Asad Abbas, political analyst, is joining us. Harshvardhan Tripathi, senior journalist, will join us in just a bit. And Aditya Gupta, state youth president of the PDP. But Daraksha Nandrabi, मैं आपसे शुरुआत करना चाहती हूँ, क्योंकि कहा तो ये जा रहा है कि आपने जानबूझ करके ये किया है, लोगों को प्रोवोक करने के लिए, लोगों के रिलीजियस सेंटिमेंट्स को हर्ट करने के लिए और एक पॉलिटिकल माहौल बनाने के लिए, बीजेपी के फेवर में जो जाए।
बिल्कुल नहीं, हमने एक 3 साल से हम चेयरपर्सन हैं, हमने 42 इयर्स के बाद दरगाह हजरत बल को साउथ एशिया का सबसे खूबसूरत हजरत बल बनाया, श्राइन बनाया। आप अंदर की तस्वीरें देख सकते हैं, और वो ना बल्कि जम्मू कश्मीर का, पूरे साउथ एशिया का अब पूरा ज़बरदस्त बना है। यही इन लोगों से बर्दाश्त नहीं हुआ, क्योंकि ये कोई काम नहीं कर पाए। इन्होंने वक्फ को हमेशा लूटा था और वक्फ के नाम पे इन्होंने हमेशा पॉलिटिक्स की। हमने विदाउट पॉलिटिक्स काम किया और प्रधानमंत्री जी और होम मिनिस्टर साहब के आशीर्वाद से, अपनी पार्टी के आशीर्वाद से वक्फ में वाकई में इन 3.5 सालों में कोई पॉलिटिक्स नहीं। जब हमने इसका इनॉग्रेशन भी किया, हमें ये बिल्कुल भी आभास नहीं था, क्योंकि पत्थर बनते हैं। इसमें यूनियन मिनिस्टर साहब को इनॉग्रेशन के लिए आना था। हमने लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर साहब को भी बता दिया था और चीफ मिनिस्टर साहब को भी हमारी लेटर गई थी, लेकिन जब फ्लड का वो मसला हो गया तो यूनियन मिनिस्टर साहब ने कैंसिल कर दिया, तो ऑल ऑफ सडन हमें वो सारा प्रोग्राम कैंसिल करना पड़ा। उसके बाद जिसने पत्थर बनाया, जो वो स्टूल लगा, उसके पास, क्योंकि प्रोटोकॉल में अगर यूनियन मिनिस्टर आता तो प्रोटोकॉल में एम्बलम लग जाता, और हम ये अपने लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर साहब आते तो प्रोटोकॉल में वो नेचुरली लगता। तो जिन्होंने ये स्टोन बनाया तो उनको पता ही था। लास्ट में जब हमें ईद मिलाद के लिए ये ओपन करना था, तो नेचुरली मैं यूनियन टेरी में आती हूँ, चेयरपर्सन हूँ, मिनिस्टर ऑफ स्टेट स्टेटस है मेरा, तो उन्होंने हमें तो बिल्कुल खुशी से इसका इनॉग्रेशन किया, बड़े एक मजहबी तरीके से। लेकिन इन लोगों ने 3 दिन तक, अगर ये हमें बोलते कि ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं है, क्योंकि एम्बलम कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया, हमारी पहचान इससे है। हमारे हाथ में पासपोर्ट है, उसमें एम्बलम है, पैसा है, उसमें एम्बलम है, तो कैसे हम कह सकते हैं कि इसमें पॉलिटिक्स थी? मैंने 3 साल में वक्फ को, जो यो 70 साल में सोच भी नहीं सकते हैं, वो प्रधानमंत्री जी के आशीर्वाद से हमने वक्फ को जीरो से हीरो बना दिया।
And more importantly, on the issue of the symbol, it is a national symbol. And एक सेकंड
अगर लगा,
हाँ दरअसल साहिबा एक सेकंड, क्योंकि बात बार सिंबल की हो रही है। सैयद असद अब्बास, आई वांट टू शो यू अ पिक्चर ऑफ द ओरिजिनल कॉपी ऑफ द इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन टुडे। इट इज अनबिलीवेबल दैट वी आर गोइंग अराउंड इन सर्कल्स टॉकिंग अबाउट वेदर इट इज आइडल वर्शिप, वेदर इट्स अ रिलीजियस सिंबल, शुड इट हैव बीन डेसिक्रेटेड, वर पीपल्स सेंटिमेंट्स हर्ट। This is not even a debate. The original copy of the Indian Constitution, which doesn't belong to any one religion, the cover of the Constitution of India has the symbol, the national emblem present on it. This is about India. This is not about an idol. This is not about the religion. And the irony is that when those people who hold the Constitution of India aloft every single time are today quiet about the desecration of the national emblem, and today they are saying jo ho gaya wo ho gaya. Sayyid Asad Abbas, is that how low politics can go, that you talk about saving the constitution, but today the constitution is being attacked by a group of fanatics and you're saying jo ho gaya wo ho gaya.
Firstly, Padmaja ji, with all due respect to Muhtarma Darakshan Andrabi Sahiba, Muhtarma आप यहाँ पर हैं, आप मजहब की बात करते हैं, बहुत बढ़िया है, but let me tell you ma'am, with great power there's great responsibility and equal accountability. I think rather than taking credit of you being the Waqf Board chief appointed by the BJP, you should have been a lot more responsible, and I'll tell you why. Padmaja ji just showed us the Constitution of India, which one leader in India, Rahul Gandhi ji, time and again shows. The same leader and the same parties questioning patriotism, which is absolutely wrong, and I'll tell you why. Mohtarma ji, it is the same Rahul Gandhi's father, Shri Rajiv Gandhi ji, who lost life for this country. Are you teaching patriotism to him?
It is a laundry list of sacrifices made by various people. Answer about the national emblem. If you care about the idea of India, how can you defend the desecration of the constitution of the national emblem? Simple question.
I will answer that. I will answer that. Padmaja ji, firstly, be it Tariq Anwar, the Congress member of parliament, be it Omar Abdullah, be it Rahul Gandhi, be it Mehbooba Mufti, none of them, mind you, none of them will stand with desecration of any sorts, because everyone here, be it a Kashmiri or a Kannadiga, is a true Indian, true to its salt. But the fact of the matter is, there is a devious ploy of the BJP.
Sir, they are literally saying that any arrests in the matter are wrong. That is literally what your Congress MP has said. The leader of opposition has not spoken a word, despite the fact that he is supposed to be the foremost savior of the constitution. Not one word has been heard from them about the attack on the national symbol.
I will
Why?
answer
This
that.
should be
I
your
will answer
agenda
that.
number 1. From Lucknow to Langkawi,
I
this
will
should be
answer
your
that.
agenda number 1. How dare anyone attack the national emblem?
The fact of the matter is,
All
very
your
clear
imagined
here.
attacks on the
I
constitution,
will
this
answer
is
that,
literally
Padmaja ji.
India under attack.
Padmaja ji, firstly, the Congress party or the leader of opposition, Rahul Gandhi ji, does not need sermons of patriotism from anybody on this panel here. Because this man has lost his father, his grandmother to his
Sir,
country.
we are not
So
talking
we are
about
nobody to
patriotism. I'm asking you a straight
patriotism
question.
to him.
If you are the savior and the gatekeeper of the constitution, how can you stay quiet? How can you defend
I
the
will answer
desecration
that.
of the national emblem? This does not belong to any one
will
religion.
answer that,
This does
Padmaja
not
ji.
belong to any one community. This is literally the symbol of India. And it has
Padmaja ji,
been desecrated.
I will answer that. Be it the leader of opposition, Rahul Gandhi, good, we question him. Why hasn't the Prime Minister made this? The Deshbhakt Prime Minister, Home Minister has not spoken this, but we question Rahul Gandhi. How unfair is this?
That is
The
because
fact of the
his
matter-
members of
Now, allow me to
parliament are
continue, ma'am.
defending it, sir.
Please give me-
That
please
is the
give me
reason the question is being
uninterrupted
asked.
time.
When arrests are
Please
being
give me
made,
30
his
seconds.
alliance partners
Please
are
give me-
calling it uncalled for.
Please
They are
give me
saying that
30
no arrest
seconds,
should
I will
happen
answer that.
because it is
Please give me 30
justified.
seconds. Padmaja ji, firstly, let me tell you, it is the ploy of the Bharatiya Janata Party to make this. Sambit Patra ji uses the same thing all the way to Bihar. How does this have a question in Bihar? Look at how they use such incidents for their personal dirty, cheap politics. The fact of the matter is, Andrabi ji needs to be gifted the book of the Indian Constitution to tell, ma'am, please separate state from the
Okay,
religion.
so if you're speaking about it, Tuhin
State
Sinha, you're
and
trying to
religion
milk
should
it
be
for your election
separated.
politics. Okay, answer this. Did you engineer this whole thing? Maybe you sent those people. Tomorrow that could be a
Well, good
suggestion,
evening.
Tuhin Sinha. You sent those
Good
people
evening.
to try and desecrate the national emblem.
Well, good evening, Padmaja. Good evening, everybody. You know, to understand the magnitude of sacrilege or sin which has been committed with the desecration of Ashok Chakra, our national emblem, you need to consider what Ashok Chakra stands for. Number one, it stands for India's commitment to peace, unity and justice, things which, you know, the people who are responsible for desecration are clearly against. They want Kashmir to go back to the age of violence. Number two, it stands for a civilizational ethos. Satyamev Jayate is derived from Mundaka Upanishad. And Kashmir has a civilizational connect with India, which both the Muftis and the Abdullahs have always tried to undermine. And number three, it stands for India's sovereignty, which those which secretly nurse the Jive Pakistan mentality will always oppose. But, you know, since my friend Abbas was asking what is the relevance to Bihar, you know, I'm very surprised. He may not understand it because he doesn't belong to Bihar. But any well-meaning, any, you know, any informed Bihari will know, please don't barge in, have the same. You are an ignorant Indian.
We
so
belong
allow
to
me
India.
complete.
That is prima facie
Any
important.
Bihari,
Don't divide us into states.
Can you allow me to complete,
Don't divide us
please?
into states.
Can you allow me to
don't need your
complete?
sermons of patriotism.
I don't need
here,
sermons
firstly.
from people like you on Indian news.
You might say you're a Bihari, I'm an Indian, sir.
Asad Abbas, you know, I have to say I'm deeply touched today by your statement of, you know, unity irrespective of which state you belong to, considering that the same people also talk about why people from other parts of the country are coming into Karnataka. But anyway, we are going to leave that debate for another day.
Everybody is
It's
welcome
great
to
today that you are
Karnataka,
saying we are all
Padmaja ji.
one country, let's
Everybody
not
is
be
welcome.
divided along lines of state.
Karnataka
It's very
is a part of
encouraging to
India
hear
and
that.
everybody is
Anyway, let
welcome
him
there.
finish. I need to go across to Aditya Gupta and Harshvardhan Tripathi. Yes,
Padmaja,
elections. Why milk for elections? Tuhin Sinha.
I'm really amused at No, he asked me a specific question. What is its relevance for Bihar? When I'm answering that, look at the way he's heckling me.
Yes,
You know,
politics, sir. You want to use it for your votes?
Any
one at a time.
You want to use this
nuisance has to stop,
controversy
Padmaja.
One
This
at a
is
time,
not the way,
please.
you know,
Bihar.
30
this is
seconds,
not-
Tuhin
this
Sinha.
is
One at a time. Yes.
This is not a decent debates are conducted. You know, any informed Bihari would know the seconds of Emperor Ashok in Bihar's pedigree. You know, Patliputra was the capital of Ashoka's kingdom. Even today, the edicts and the pillars of that era are the pride of Bihar. Anybody who takes pride in culture, but of course, Rahul Gandhi's Congress party, Tariq Anwar and people like Tejasvi Yadav are not aware of Bihar's rich pedigree, and such people can never do justice, can never stand for the pride of Bihar. Such
So
people
Tejasvi Yadav has lived all his life in Bihar.
Harshvardhan Tripathi, Harshvardhan जी, you know, कहीं तो इसका कुछ पॉलिटिकल सिग्निफिकेंस होगा, क्योंकि तारिक अनवर ने भले से ही बोला हो कि देखिए अब जो हो गया, जो कर दिया वो कर दिया, लेकिन जिस तरीके से इन अ वेरी स्टडीड फैशन तेजस्वी यादव ने उस पर कुछ बोलने से ही मना कर दिया। उन्होंने कहा हमारा तो कुछ लेना देना ही नहीं है। उनको भी कहीं तो इल्म होगा कि इसमें बहुत ज्यादा नुकसान हो सकता है, क्योंकि ये मामला सिर्फ कश्मीर का नहीं है, ये मामला सिर्फ श्रीनगर का नहीं है, ये एक ऐसा मुद्दा है जो देश भर का हर एक आदमी उससे इत्तेफाक रखेगा। द क्वेश्चन देन अराइजेस, व्हाट स्टॉप्स द कांग्रेस from outright condemning it and saying this is wrong? आपने शायद म्यूट कर रखा है हर्षवर्धन जी।
पद्मजा, अगर कांग्रेस पार्टी कुल्हाड़ी पर पांव रखना चाहती है तो हम आप रोक नहीं सकते, लेकिन डिबेट में कोई पॉइंट रखने से पहले सबसे पहले मैं अंद्राबी जी को बहुत शुक्रिया अदा करूंगा। मैं तो बहुत पहले हजरत बल गया हूं और ये फोटो आज सुबह से वायरल है। ये फोटो आज सुबह से वायरल है और मैंने इसको लिखते हुए एक्स पर लिखा कि क्या ये सही फोटो है, क्योंकि इतनी खूबसूरत फोटो हजरत बल दरगाह के अंदर का ये चित्र है और ये वायरल है। आज बात देश में इसी की होनी चाहिए। हमारे देश का और दुनिया का हर मुसलमान दुनिया के किसी और हिस्से में जाने की बजाय जो हमारे अपने श्रीनगर में हजरत बल दरगाह में एक खूबसूरत नमूना बना है, ये खूबसूरत तरीके से इसको सजाया अंद्राबी जी ने, उसकी चर्चा होनी चाहिए। अब सवाल ये कि नेशनल एम्बलम क्यों है? पीडीपी गवर्नमेंट के समय जब महबूबा मुफ्ती थी तो यहां नेशनल एम्बलम क्यों लगा हुआ था? बस हजरत बल दरगाह इतनी खूबसूरत नहीं बनी थी, उसकी पवित्रता तो जो पहले मुसलमानों के लिए थी वो अभी भी है, लेकिन अगर वो खूबसूरत बन जाए, दुनिया के दूसरे देशों में हम जाते हैं, दूसरी इस्लामिक कंट्रीज में हम देखते हैं तो वहां बहुत कुछ बेहतर होता हुआ दिखता है। यहां वक्फ बोर्ड अमीर मुसलमान सिर्फ ठेकेदारी के लिए इस्तेमाल करते रहे। और मैं फिर कह रहा हूं ये बड़ा काम किया है अंद्राबी जी ने, ये सामान्य काम नहीं, क्योंकि वक्फ बोर्ड की चेयरपर्सन होने के बाद न तो कोई ऐसी अकाउंटेबिलिटी बहुत अभी तक होती थी, कहां से पैसा आया, कहां चला गया, आप किसके लिए इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, कोई काम नहीं आता। और मैं ये दोनों तरह से देखता हूं, एक नेशनल एम्बलम देश के हर हिस्से में, चाहे वो मंदिर हो, मस्जिद हो, गुरुद्वारा हो, चर्च हो, हर जगह होनी चाहिए। ये हमारी नेशनल आइडेंटिटी से, भारतीयता से जोड़ता है। दूसरा, हमारे देश के हर जो ऐसे रिलीजियस प्लेसेज हैं उनको इतना ही बेहतर, इतना ही खूबसूरत, और देश के लोगों को यह भी जानना चाहिए हमारे देश के मंदिर पिछले कुछ समय में बहुत सुंदर हुए हैं, बहुत अच्छे हुए हैं। अब दरगाहों को और इस तरह से जो श्रीनगर में होता हुआ दिखा, इसको एक मॉडल के तौर पर, एग्जाम्पल के तौर पर देखना चाहिए। और मैं तो एक ही बात कहूंगा, आज असद अब्बास जिसे उम्मीद थी, मैं इनके साथ अक्सर डिबेट में रहता हूं, बड़ी रेशनल बातें करते हैं। अरे आप तो वहां गए होंगे मेरे ख्याल से, मैं तो नहीं गया हूं। आपके लिए तो हर तरह से, आपके लिए तो पवित्र जगह है, आपके लिए तो खूबसूरत, आपको तो आज तारीफ करनी चाहिए थी, आपको अंद्राबी जी के साथ खड़ा होना चाहिए था, आप उनका विरोध कर रहे हैं।
आपकी उम्मीद असद अब्बास से ही क्यों है? आदित्य गुप्ता से भी होनी चाहिए, आदित्य गुप्ता से भी उतनी होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि उनकी भी एक नेशनल पार्टी है, उनकी भी तो एक इंडियन पार्टी है। आदित्य गुप्ता, this is a symbol of state. This is not an idea. I'll just come to you because Aditya Gupta should also respond to this.
Okay.
Why hide it behind hurt sentiments? What sentiments are hurt when a national emblem, all our sentiments should be hurt when the national emblem is desecrated, not by its presence there. And might I remind you that in the time that your party was in government, you've had the same national emblem present all around the Hazrat Bal shrine. It was established there by your government as well, Aditya Gupta.
First of all, good evening, Padmaja, and good evening to all my fellow panelists.
Good evening.
The fact of the matter is that national emblem is governed by an act which is called a State Emblem Act. There's a prohibition on use of it, and there's a punishment of 2 years under Section 7 of the same act. There are rules, and there's a Schedule 3 in the same act. There are the rules, and under the rules there's Schedule 3. The Schedule 3 does not permit Dr. Daksha Andrabi or Waqf Board to actually use the preamble. That is fact of them. So once the offense of desecration of the preamble of the national emblem happened, there were two things that happened. Number one, the offense that was committed by the person who vandalized it, and the person who actually instigated it. So she not only committed an offense under Section 7 of the Act, but also under Section 55 of the BNS, where she actually knew that she is a Kashmiri. She comes from Kashmir. She knows it.
Knows what?
It has never been.
Knows what?
She knows it. I am conveying it to her, Padmaja, I'm conveying it to her only.
No,
She
I'm
understands
sorry.
it.
We're all Indians over here. What is she supposed to know exclusively that the rest of India is not supposed to know? We all understand what a national emblem is. It's our emblem.
Yes, exactly. So that is the point.
What is the problem with its presence there?
See, fact of the matter is
not
that
an
there
idol.
are people who are
It's not a
instigated.
statue.
It is not something that...
It doesn't represent any god.
That is the... No. Are you done? Should I respond to it or you have to continue saying it? Because I personally believe that I have a point to make. Let me just make that point. You and me, we can have a difference of opinion, but let me put forth my point.
No. So I am asking you a very specific question, Aditya Gupta. My question is that if the national emblem can be on the Constitution of India, if it can be on the passport of India, if it can be on the currency of India, why can it not be in any shrine, in any place of worship in India? It is a national emblem. It is not an idol. It's not a god. Why can't it be there?
Yes, the answer to that is that the currency note, the passport, on the government buildings, on the judges' platform is mentioned in Schedule 3 and Schedule 2 of the Act. It is not under the Waqf Act. The Waqf Act and the Miss Andrabi were not authorized to use it. Why is isn't that an offense?
Desecrated? Was it desecrated over this legal objection that people had? People were like, this is in violation of the Waqf Act. I cannot tolerate the violation of the Waqf Act, which is why immediately I am going to go and desecrate it, wipe it out.
Oh, it is not a violation of Waqf Act. You have not done your research. It is governed by the State Emblem of India Prohibition of Improper Use Act 2005.
Oh, so
and
that is the reason why people got angry. Because so far we were told that it is a symbol of idol worship, including what leaders of the NC and PDP have said.
You are trying to put...
Padmaja,
you are not.
I will tell you who said it.
Padmaja,
Tanveer Sadiq of the National Conference has said it. Iltija Mufti of the PDP has said it. Okay, let me read out for you. No. Aditya, I'm sure you are very, very erudite. But you are misleading here by quoting the Emblems Act.
That's a fact.
Let me quote to you. Yes. Just by saying that's a fact doesn't make it a fact. I will tell you what actual reason has been given for the desecration by leaders from Jammu and Kashmir, including yours. Here is what Iltija Mufti said today. When innocent Muslims across India are lynched or their shops ransacked, FIRs are filed against victims and not culprits. In Kashmir, when religious sentiments of the majority are hurt, they are instead booked under anti-terror laws, and that too on the insistence and threats of the culprits that instigated them in the first place. Religious sentiments. This whole thing of Emblems Act, this was not allowed, you use the emblem in a wrong way. This is a fig leaf. Let's be absolutely clear. This was pitched as a hurt sentiment, religious identity issue. How does this stand against anyone's religious identity?
See, you have to understand, the desecration of the national emblem has hurt us also. There were two culprits in it.
But your party is defending it. Your party is defending it by saying that its very presence was hurtful to religious sentiments.
We are saying two things. We are saying, one, vandalism is wrong. That's one part of it. Dr. Lakshan Andrabi also has to be booked under Section 299 of BNS, 55 of 57 of BNS, and Section 7 of the Emblem Act. What is the problem for the government to give a sanction for that?
Do you support the presence of the national emblem everywhere in our country, whether it's the Hazrat Bal Shrine, whether it's a temple, whether it's a Gurdwara, whether it's any other place? You support the presence of the national emblem at the Hazrat Bal Shrine.
We support the national emblem at every place which is governed by the Act itself, which allows the use of a national emblem. You have to understand that. You cannot laugh at it because the law is what is governing the India.
You know what I'm laughing at is that you really think that on TV you can say one thing and in the midst of people you can say another. I read out to you what leaders of your party have said. Their only defense of this action has been that it was one, a spontaneous act, two, that their religious sentiments were hurt, and three, that the presence of the national emblem was going against the idea. Or what Iltija Mufti said, हमारे दीन के खिलाफ था. ये हमारे दीन की बात है. These are her words, not mine. And now let me show you those images of what your government had done when it was in power. You had got multiple signboards which had been put up, which had the national emblem as well. So here you had it, the national emblem right next to the Hazrat Bal shrine, and that wasn't a problem then. My question is, Aditya Gupta, why is it a problem now, and how can it be made into an issue of religion when very, very clearly it's an attack on India, India's symbols, and the constitution itself?
Fact of the matter is that, see, this is the politics that you Padmaja, have been discussing one factor of this again earlier also. That is that, see, now you are using Kashmir or the national desecration in Hazrat Bal in elections in Bihar. So it has become more of a religious issue. Whereas you and me, we have to understand one fact that, see, there's a violation of law done by 50 people who have been detained, and one is sitting in your studio and being part of the debate.
Okay, let's open this up. Okay, this is not a religious issue at all, you are saying? Then it was wrong for your leaders to have pitched it as a religious issue?
I am saying it has become a religious issue because of
it has become a religious issue because your leaders, including Mehbooba Mufti, Irtija Mufti, leaders of the National Conference, including the Chief Minister, said that it hurt the religious feelings of Muslims because it is a place of worship and this was like idol worship. You made it into a religious issue and now you're holding it against others for asking you why you did it.
Very nice, Padmaja. Now, let me put it. After the people destroyed that... No, after the people did it, what they have been saying? They have been saying it because they felt the religious instigation has taken place. But fact of the matter also remains, the person who has instigated it all has been asked to, that has been given a commendation. See, she also has done violation of law.
Let's open this up. Tuhin Sinha, then Harshvardhan Tripathi. I'll get in Darshan Andrabi also, because आपके ऊपर सीधा-सीधा इल्जाम लगाया जा रहा है.
I'm waiting to reply.
Okay. Tuhin Sinha respond, then I'll get in the others. Tuhin Sinha.
Padmaja, just one second. Padmaja, I am told that the architects and the workers of Taj Mahal were punished after Taj Mahal was constructed so that they could not construct something similar again. And over here, look at the mentality of PDP. Here they want, they are repeatedly rooting. They want Miss Andrabi to be punished, to be jailed because she has created something so beautiful. This retrograde mentality is something we are fighting. Please don't barge in. Did I barge in when you were talking? Have the basic courtesy. Number two, as you have very clearly pointed out, the national emblem pre-existed even during the time of PDP. Even during the time of PDP, it pre-existed and they didn't have a problem then. So look at the hypocrisy of these people, and Kashmir honestly cannot be allowed to go back into that retrograde mindset. If they have a legal problem, they're convinced about it, fight it out legally, but don't defend the violence which has taken place over there. If you defend that, you're only revealing your true intentions. You don't want
the hypocrisy, speaking for the constitution, attacking symbols of state.
Firstly, let me quickly bust the BJP spokesperson Tuhin Sinha here. Sir, those who created Taj Mahal or the workers were not punished. Don't give us your WhatsApp university here, Gyan over here. Please fact check yourself and give facts. This is NDTV. This is not your WhatsApp university. So stop spreading false propaganda. Nothing as such happened and don't barge in. Allow me to make my point. Padmaja ji, with full responsibility, I tell you today that disrespecting any symbol, be it Congress, BJP or the NC, is absolutely wrong, highly condemnable. But the fact of the matter is, Andrabi ji, a direct question to you, ma'am. You are from Kashmir, right? So give me 5 gurudwaras, 5 temples, 5 mosques, 5 dargahs or religious institutions where national emblems are placed inside the religious institution. And you speak of the book of institution, very good.
Here is an Eid greeting by the Chief Minister, which had the national emblem present on it.
10 seconds.
Here at the Hazrat Bal shrine itself are multiple signages.
10 seconds, Padmaja ji. 10 seconds.
That is not
give me 10 seconds.
The shrine. That is
outside. Can I allow to complete my point, ma'am?
Yeah,
please give me 10 seconds. Andrabi ji, the fact is you speak of the book of constitution, the same constitution, ma'am, speaks of separating the state from religious institution. The Constitution of India speaks of separating state from religious institution. Let us not merge the two, ma'am. With all due respect to you,
if you don't know
Constitution,
जवाब दीजिए. आपने कभी किसी गुरुद्वारे मंदिर के अंदर नहीं किया होगा. आपने पहले किसी दरगाह में नहीं किया होगा. ये अचानक इस माहौल में आपने क्यों किया है?
नहीं,
और आपको
मंदिर
जेल में
की-
डालना चाहिए, पीडीपी कह रही है, क्योंकि गलती आपकी है।
नहीं, ये बताइए इनको, ये बार बार कह रहे हैं इनसाइड इनसाइड इनसाइड। जहां पे इनॉग्रेशन और फाउंडेशन स्टोन लगता है 42 इयर्स के बाद रेनोवेशन, रिकंस्ट्रक्शन एंड ब्यूटिफिकेशन ऑफ दरगाह शरीफ हो गया। 1 साल तक हमने काम किया, आज तक इनके रिजीम में ये हुआ नहीं। इनको कोई काम अच्छा नहीं लगा, इनको कॉन्ग्रेचुलेशंस करना चाहिए था, इनको शाबाशी देनी चाहिए थी कि कोई एक लेडी आई। ये चूंकि बीजेपी और आरएसएस को हमेशा कहते हैं ये मजहब के खिलाफ है, और इन्होंने जो मेरा 3 साल का टेन्योर है, आप खोल के देखिए, इनकी उतनी एज नहीं होगी जितनी मैंने मस्जिद
ये कह रहे हैं कि किसी गुरुद्वारे में कभी देखा है आपने अशोका स्तंभ? कभी आपने किसी गुरुद्वारे में देखा है? कभी किसी मंदिर में देखा? दरगाह में क्यों डाल दिया?
वहां पे अगर कोई चीफ मिनिस्टर, कोई मिनिस्टर इनॉग्रेशन या फाउंडेशन स्टोन रखेगा, अगर वो स्टेट का होगा तो इनका स्टेट का एम्बलम होगा। हम यूनियन टेरिटरी में है तो हमारा यूनियन टेरिटरी का लगेगा, वो एम्बलम लगेगा। दैट इज ऑल। इसमें कोई पॉलिटिक्स नहीं, इसमें कोई रिलीजियस सेंटिमेंट, कोई हर्ट नहीं हुआ है, बल्कि ये हर्ट हुए हैं कि पहली बार जम्मू कश्मीर में कोई है जो बीजेपी से है, जिन्होंने इस पे पॉलिटिक्स नहीं की, उन्होंने दरगाह को इतना अच्छा बनाया, तो इनके सेंटिमेंट्स हर्ट हुए हैं।
ठीक है हर्षवर्धन जी, फाइनल वर्ड। अब पीडीपी तो कह रही है कि देखिए हमने कभी इसको कोई धर्म का, मजहब का मुद्दा बनाया ही नहीं था, हम तो एक जो लॉ है which governs the national emblems, उसका वायलेशन हो रहा था, इसलिए हम नाराज थे, और इस पे पॉलिटिक्स अब जानबूझ के बीजेपी कर रही है। हम तो सिर्फ कह रहे थे कि आप कानून का पालन कीजिए, धर्म का कोई मुद्दा नहीं।
हमने अगर इनको कोई आपत्ति थी, अगर इनको पॉलिटिक्स नहीं करना था, ये हमारे पास आ जाते, क्योंकि ये पत्थर मैंने तो नहीं बनाया।
जी हर्षवर्धन जी, फाइनल वर्ड। फाइनल वर्ड, इट्स ओनली अबाउट द लॉ, इट्स नॉट अबाउट एनीथिंग एल्स। देयर इज नो, मतलब ये अलग बात है। आई वांट टू पॉइंट आउट दैट महबूबा मुफ्तीज एग्जैक्ट वर्ड्स वर दैट दरख्शन अंद्राबी शुड बी बुक्ड फॉर ब्लास्फेमी। उनको ईश निंदा कानून के लिए, एक सेकंड साइलेंस प्लीज, let's be very clear, when somebody is trying to tell you that this was never a religious issue, it was deliberately made into a religious issue by the same parties today who are talking about the law. Mehbooba Mufti has said that Darakshan Andrabi should be booked for blasphemy. National Conference has said that this is idol worship, it goes against the idea of oneness of God, and today if somebody is quoting the law to you, be very clear that they are being too clever by half. But क्या ये कानून का मुद्दा है, या ये कुछ और है, या ये राजनीति है? हर्षवर्धन त्रिपाठी, लास्ट 30 सेकंड्स।
पद्मजा, ये बिल्कुल कानून का मुद्दा है, लेकिन कानून का मुद्दा है जिन लोगों ने बहुत गंदा काम किया, जो नेशनल एम्ब्लेम को तोड़ा है, और जिनको बिल्कुल पब्लिक सेफ्टी एक्ट के तहत गिरफ्तार होना ही चाहिए। आदित्य गुप्ता शायद अभी भी जम्मू कश्मीर की उस पॉलिटिक्स को नहीं समझ पा रहे हैं, भले पीडीपी के स्पोक्स पर्सन हैं। जो पॉलिटिक्स महबूबा मुफ्ती और अब्दुल्ला परिवार करता है, वो मुसलमानों को मेन स्ट्रीम में नहीं आने देना चाहते, वो घेट्टोइजेशन करके रखना चाहते हैं। वो चाहते हैं कि इसको कम्युनल इशू बनाकर इसको अलग से, और एक बात मैं कह दूं, चूंकि नेशनल टेलीविजन पर हम ये बात कर रहे हैं, नेशनल एम्बलम दरख्शन अंद्राबी ने लगाया, जो चेयरपर्सन है वक्फ बोर्ड की, नंबर 1। वहां की मुस्लिम ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वो इसके फेवर में है, नंबर 2। जितने मुसलमान वहां पर तोड़ने गए थे, उससे कई गुना अधिक मुसलमान इसके साथ खड़े हैं, और उनका कहना है, अब मैं वहां के न्यूज़पेपर्स देख रहा था, वो भी इस बात को कह रहे हैं। अब मुश्किल ये हो रही कि पीडीपी और एनसी को लगता है कि अगर ऐसे रिफॉर्म होंगे, ऐसे बेहतर तरीके से वक्फ बोर्ड काम करेगा, मुस्लिमों के लिए काम करेगा, तो शायद वो जो आइडेंटिटी सेपरेट करते हैं कि नेशनल आइडेंटिटी अलग है और रिलीजियस आइडेंटिटी अलग है, वो काम नहीं चलेगा। असली खतरा वहां दिखता है, लॉ और रिलीजन से ज्यादा ये मसला है।
And on this hypocrisy, the buck stops here. Thanks very much, all gentlemen and Darakshan Andrabi, for joining me. The national emblem. India's national emblem was designed by artist Dinanath Bhargav during the preparation of our constitution. This national emblem was then placed on the very first page of the original copy of the Indian constitution. Imagine, who would have thought that we would see a day when this emblem would be desecrated in full public view in the name of religious sensitivities, and that people would defend this attack on the constitution itself. Let there be no confusion in anyone's mind. The Ashoka emblem is our national identity. It is not a religious symbol or an idol. It's the state symbol recognized under the law. It stands for justice, sovereignty, and unity of India. Anyone who attacks, defaces, or damages it is guilty of a criminal offense under the Emblems and Names Act and under provisions of the IPC. This simply cannot be waved away as "jo kar diya, wo kar diya," or just be called a spontaneous result of hurt sentiments. This is an attack on the idea of India and the Constitution itself. But the shocking part still is that the same people who hold up the Constitution at every opportunity, who claim to be fighting to save and protect the Constitution, today remain quiet or worse, defend the attack on the Constitution, on the emblem, in the name of hurt sentiments. This should show you their real face of what these people's priorities are. Because the fanatics who attack the national emblem at the Hazrat Bal Dargah by calling it idol worship, they aren't the real danger. They are misled, brainwashed. They are mere pawns. The real danger is those who will defend this action, those people who will throw the very symbols of our state into the dustbin if it helps them firm up their vote bank, and they do it while they still keep flashing the Constitution of India in their hands. The other big story on the show today. Hours before India's vice president is elected, a fresh controversy erupted over the opposition's VP nominee, B. Sudarshan Reddy. The former justice of the Supreme Court was calling upon various leaders of the opposition. He even issued an emotional appeal and said that he is fighting for the very soul of India, and those who are voting tomorrow for the vice president election should listen to their voice, to the voice of their conscience. But soon after issuing that appeal, guess who he met with? He met with RJD chief Lalu Prasad, and that naturally triggered a political storm. The BJP asked that, is this the kind of optics that you want to convey? You're talking about fighting for the soul of India while meeting with a person who is not just accused but convicted of corruption. Not just that, a group of over 25 senior advocates and former Bar Council leaders have also issued a statement criticizing Reddy's conduct, calling it a serious lapse in judgment. They say that this meeting raises very troubling questions about propriety.
Honorable members, I seek your support, not for myself, but for the values that define us as a sovereign democratic republic. In this election, there is no party whip and the ballot is secret. It is not loyalty to any political party, but love for the country that must guide your choice.
देश के सोल को बचाने के लिए मुझे वोट दें, ये है उनका कमेंट जो अखबार में आया है और उन्होंने वीडियो रिलीज किया है। और ये देखिए, देश के सोल को बचाने के लिए वो किससे मिल रहे हैं? लालू प्रसाद से। लालू प्रसाद फॉर्डर स्कैम में कन्विक्टेड हैं। आप किस तरह के रिटायर्ड सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जज हैं? जो व्यक्ति कन्विक्टेड है किसमें? स्कैम में, करप्शन में। जो व्यक्ति कन्विक्टेड है स्कैम और करप्शन में, आप जाके उनसे मिलते हैं।
दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है इस तरह की ओछी टिप्पणी, और आप जैसे वायर सर्विस के एजेंडे में आना ये ओछी टिप्पणी है। इस तरह की टिप्पणियों के पर प्रतिक्रिया देना भी उचित नहीं है।
Okay, Tuhin Sinha and Harshvardhan Tripathi continue with us, but joining us now is Jebi Mathur, who is the Rajya Sabha MP of the Congress. I want to start with you, ma'am. Questions of propriety. Somebody is saying, I am fighting for the soul of India, meeting with a convict in a corruption case.
The India Alliance is fighting for a very big cause, very large cause. It is definitely to protect the soul of India, which means to protect the Constitution and the democracy in India, which has been in a terrible state, as we have been repeatedly saying in the past Parliament session and earlier as well. So when we are fighting, that we have chosen a candidate who has always stood for for the justice and social justice and liberty.
Ma'am, but to meet
freedom.
a convict in a corruption case, somebody who's out on bail, somebody who's out on bail on health grounds. Miss Mathur, here is somebody, Lalu Prasad ji is not just anyone. He is certainly not, somebody who symbolizes the fight for the soul of India. He is literally fighting for bail. He's out on bail right now. He's been convicted on corruption charges. He has been convicted for a crime that your party accused him of when it was in government. You remember that entire attempt that was made to bring in an ordinance to try and give him, a leeway when you were in government, when Dr. Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister, and Mr. Rahul Gandhi had spoken against it. He had said this is absolute nonsense in the press club. Any ordinance brought in to shield the corrupt after conviction is absolute nonsense. And today your VP candidate goes and meets that very same person, Lalu Prasad. What does this say?
So when the larger issue needs to be protected, then India Alliance, when it is stand united, so the Vice President candidate has been meeting several leaders because which is a larger issue becomes also prominent. When the democracy itself is at stake, when constitution is under threat, then we have to come together, and you can see how India Alliance have been jointly deciding on the candidate, which the media predicted it would be difficult, which the BJP had said it would be difficult, but we have jointly chosen a candidate, and we have been very forthright in a very serious fight. And this is not just a fight, this is not just for the office, but for the democracy and to protect the constitution, and that is why
I could be completely wrong, and you could correct me, but isn't the constitution also under threat when those who are in power indulge in corruption? Doesn't that sort of put the country and constitution into chaos? And ironically, talk about bad timing, today he of course has been convicted in one case in the entire fodder scam, but today, on a day when the VP candidate was meeting him, there was another case that he challenged in court, which is the land for job scam. So there are other scams that he stands accused of as well, and on that day, your candidate goes and meets with him.
Here, what is the issue, larger issue which we are looking at is our candidate is for the constitution and BJP's candidate, the NDA's candidate is an RSS nominee. So we have to fight for what is there in the constitution, and we have to make sure that all doors are knocked, and that is a part of
so sometimes you have to make few sacrifices to India for the larger cause.
We are looking at it very seriously on this election, and nothing short of we don't want to miss anything now, and to ensure that every vote is cast
for the sake of cohesion. For the sake of cohesion, little adjustments, little sacrifices are made.
And India Alliance, this is just a good beginning. In the future also you will see everyone so stacked and well joined and well
show of unity.
Clear now, it is very clear now that there is a massive disparity between the words and actions of the Vice President candidate of the India Alliance. While he says that he wants to become the Vice President to save the soul of the nation, in reality, his actions suggest that he is dangerous for the soul of the nation. Number one, he goes and meets a convicted criminal, Lalu Yadav, who does not have a vote in the vice presidential election. So clearly, he was under pressure from Rahul Gandhi or whoever. Lalu Yadav, by the way, is also charge sheeted, as you mentioned, in the land for jobs case. But throughout, if you look at it, he has a history of sacrificing the soul of the nation. Whether it was weakening a fight against the Naxal forces by running down, by negating the Salva Judum, as a judge in 2011, or by negating the plea for opening up of the Bhopal gas tragedy, one of the worst betrayals by the Congress government which this country has seen. And moreover, even as recently as last week, when he was asked on the Trump, on the tariff issue, he could have easily, made a statement in national interest. He said, am I the external affairs minister to talk about it? So such people clearly cannot stand for national interest. Such people are quietly working against national interest, and I think, voting for him would be endangering the soul of the nation.
No, they are saying the greater danger right now is the RSS. So an RSS nominee, somebody with a former RSS background, CP Radhakrishnan, needs to be stopped. That is the bigger danger before the country.
Credentials.
And for that, Mr. Yadav has to be brought on board. Too bad.
This is the mentality of Rahul Gandhi, the rabid hate for RSS, a truly nationalist organization. If you look at the credentials of CP Radhakrishnan, not only has he been active politician with impeccable record, elected twice as a member of parliament, even as a governor in the last 4 years of at least 4 different states. He has an absolutely immaculate track record.
Okay.
So just by maligning him for his RSS connection, I think this Congress party is incorrigible. They will never learn from their mistakes. And in fact, you will be surprised tomorrow
this is another mistake,
when our vice
says the
presidential
BJP.
candidate
This was a
wins by
self-goal.
a greater number than...
This was a self-goal. Ms. Mathur, can you hear me?
No, I didn't hear.
Yeah, the question asked to you was that this was a self-goal. The very suggestion that you have done, one, that your candidate, Justice Reddy, had that infamous judgment on Salva Judum that was already used against him. There were many jurists who wrote about it saying that that was a very dangerous judgment. And now this, that you are willing to hobnob or you're willing to platform all kinds of elements only in the interest of holding back the NDA candidate.
See, this is after a detailed discussion with all parties of India Alliance. We have chosen, and every party of India Alliance have accepted, and we stand together. And the record as a Supreme Court judge, he has a very good record and very committed and for social causes and for to ensure that justice is received. So he has that record. So that is why we have chosen, the party has chosen, the India Alliance has chosen, and we stand by that. And we definitely, we see what is the basic issue here. Basic issue is we are fighting to protect the constitution, and we will stand by that. We will go to any extent. We will stand together jointly and unitedly. Whereas we oppose the RSS ideology. It's not that today we are opposing. We have been opposing.
But don't you oppose
and
corruption?
That is something when coming to the office of the vice president. Definitely, all these things matters. When the parliament itself is under, we know how the bills are being passed in parliament.
But ma'am, it's great that you oppose the RSS, and that's been your stand for long. But don't you also oppose corruption?
So we want the office.
Shouldn't you also be opposing people who have been convicted?
Work towards protecting the soul of the nation.
Okay, soul of the nation again. Harshvardhan ji, soul of the nation basically is the rallying cry. And to be fair, a lot of people have said कि देखिए जब कल चुनाव होगा तो उसमें अजीत पवार के लोग भी तो डाल ही रहे होंगे ना. अजीत पवार के खिलाफ भी कई एलिगेशंस थे और भी कई लोग हैं बाकी पार्टीज में जिनके खिलाफ करप्शन के एलिगेशंस है. तो ठीक है, लालू जी की गलती बस इतनी है कि वो कन्विक्ट हो गए.
नहीं पद्मजा, निश्चित तौर पर बहुत से लोग भ्रष्टाचारी हैं और ऐसा नहीं है कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी से जुड़े लोग भ्रष्टाचार के मामलों में नहीं हैं, लेकिन ये बड़ा सीरियस मामला है. ये सिर्फ इतना भर नहीं है कि लालू प्रसाद यादव से जाकर वो मिलते हैं. लालू जी बड़े नेता हैं, मुख्यमंत्री रहे, रेलवे मिनिस्टर रहे, लेकिन लालू जी के ऊपर भ्रष्टाचार के आरोप साबित हुए और कोर्ट ने सजा सुनाई. कांग्रेस पार्टी ने बाकायदा तय किया कि ऐसे लोगों को दोबारा राजनीति में ना आने से बचाने के लिए, और राहुल गांधी ने उस वक्त क्या कहा कि हम ऐसे लोगों को नहीं आने देंगे, यानी उस ऑर्डिनेंस के खिलाफ वो थे. आज राहुल गांधी उसी भ्रष्टाचार को अनदेखा कर देना चाहते हैं. कमाल की बात यह है कि सीपी राधाकृष्णन जो 2 बार के सांसद हैं, सीपी राधाकृष्णन, जो इस देश के कई राज्यों के गवर्नर रहे। सीपी राधाकृष्णन का गुनाह क्या है कि वो संघ से जुड़े हुए। एक तरफ तो राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ, जो एक देशभक्त संगठन है जिसने आज तक कभी देश के खिलाफ हथियार नहीं उठाया, और दूसरी तरफ उन नक्सली आतंकवादियों, माओवादी आतंकवादियों के पैरोकार जो देश के खिलाफ, राष्ट्र के खिलाफ हथियार उठाते हैं, जो सीधे सीधे देशद्रोही हैं, उनके साथ खड़े लोग। इतना भर नहीं है कि भ्रष्टाचार को ये लोग अनदेखा कर दे रहे हैं, ये देश के खिलाफ खड़े होने वालों को भी अनदेखा कर रहे हैं। और जिस दिन कनिमोझी ने कहा था कि ये तो हिंदुत्व वाले तमिल हैं, राहुल गांधी की मुश्किल ये कि एक कांग्रेस लीडर वो सेलेक्ट नहीं कर पाए वाइस प्रेसिडेंट के नॉमिनेशन के लिए। उनको ये था कि साउथ इंडिया से लेकर आना है, इसके बावजूद चंद्रबाबू नायडू तो छोड़िए, जगन मोहन रेड्डी भी उनके साथ खड़े होने को तैयार नहीं है। और जब आप नेशनलिज्म और कम्युनिज्म की बात करिएगा, राष्ट्रवाद और नक्सलवाद की बात करिएगा, तो भला कौन नक्सलियों के साथ खड़ा होना चाहेगा, चाहे आप पॉलिटिकली कह दें या फिर आज नक्सली जितने जगहों पर, जितने जिलों में रह गए, उसको भी आप देख लें।
पर सोल ऑफ इंडिया तो बचाना है ना, सोल ऑफ इंडिया के लिए थोड़ा बहुत तो चलता है।
नहीं, वो बचा लिया जाएगा, बचा है तभी तो कम्युनिस्ट खत्म हो गए। सोल ऑफ इंडिया बचा ही तभी जब ये खत्म हो गए, धीरे धीरे पूरी तरह से खत्म हो जाएगी।
Okay, let's see what the soul of India tolerates tomorrow and how it survives. One thing one can say with quite certainty, that irrespective of the kind of politics and politicians we have seen over the last 7 decades and more, the soul of India, thankfully, is far too hardy to be crumbling or to die under such assaults. For the time being, thank you very much, both gentlemen and JB Mathur, for having joined us. Remember, this kind of politics may be very, very convenient when it comes to numbers, but when you have such pictures with a convicted person and still claim that you are fighting for the soul of India, that becomes just a little difficult to swallow. And on such kind of doublespeak, the buck stops here. Thanks for watching.
फिनेस्टा विंडोज, ब्यूटीफुल एंड ड्यूरेबल डिजाइन्स, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
फाइन फाइनर फिनेस्टा।
जब मुंबई से वापस कोल्हापुर शिफ्ट हुआ तो सबने कहा कि ड्रीम सिटी को छोड़ रहा है। ड्रीम सिटी, तो मैंने कहा ड्रीम में तो यही गलियां आती हैं। तो जब ये रियलाइज़ हुआ कि कुछ बड़ा करने के लिए बड़े शहर में रहने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, तब लगा कि लाइफ में ग्रो किया। कशित आई, ऐसे बॉय मिलते मुंबई में, चांस ही नहीं।
SIP करो, इन्वेस्ट करो, लाइफ में ग्रो करो।
प्रतिभूति बाजार में निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। निवेश करने से पहले सभी संबंधित दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
There were violent protests in Nepal by Gen Z against a social media ban that had been imposed by the government. 40 people have been killed so far in those protests. The government is now considering lifting the ban, but a final word on that has not been heard just as yet. The Gen Z protesters are now demanding the resignation of the Prime Minister, P.P. Oli. Mandya and Karnataka remains tense after clashes erupted during Ganesh Visarjan. Stones were pelted at the procession. Prohibitory orders are now in place. The BJP is going to carry out protest march tomorrow. It has asked the Siddharamaiah government, how did Eid pass peacefully and violence erupted during the Ganesh Utsav?
Vanakkam Tamil Nadu.
Well, the battle for Tamil Nadu 2026 is open now.
After Chief Minister Stalin rolls up his sleeves and Vijay steps in as a star challenger.
This is a mass gathering, not for cash.
Meanwhile, a former Chief Minister, Edapadi Palanisamy, begins his fight back.
The big comeback campaign by EPS has well and truly begun.
These are all the ultimate players, and this is going to be the ultimate test.
ब्रेकिंग न्यूज का जमाना है। सबको तिल का ताड़ और राई का पहाड़ बनाना है। ऐसे में जनता के जूते के अंदर फंसा कंकड़ कौन देखे? बड़े बड़े मुद्दों के शोर में जमीन से जुड़े मुद्दे अक्सर खो जाते हैं। लेकिन देश तरक्की तब करता है जब जनता के माथे की शिकन हमारी हेडलाइंस बनती है। मैं सैयद सुहेल भारत को जीता हूं, भारत की बात बताता हूं। एनडीटीवी इंडिया पर
across the country. He has tracked the pulse of power from Washington to Korea. Witnessed history being made in global capitals and conflict zones. Brought clarity to complex issues.
फिनेस्टा विंडोज, ब्यूटीफुल एंड ड्यूरेबल डिजाइन्स, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Fine, finer, Finesta.
माय बर्थडे गिफ्ट टू पापा, ये उनके पापा की पहली गाड़ी एक गराज में पड़ी थी दार्जिलिंग में। फिर 3 मैकेनिक, पेंटिंग, पॉलिशिंग। जब इसे फाइनली घर लाया ना, तब लगा लाइफ में ग्रो किया है। बुलाओ।
SIP करो, इन्वेस्ट करो, लाइफ में ग्रो करो।
प्रतिभूति बाजार में निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। निवेश करने से पहले सभी संबंधित दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
If it matters
that what can be done in a finite period of time, he was speaking to NDTV and he explained the possibility of this happening and how the negotiators who are talking on the back of this reset in India-China relations being the people who will deliver on some sort of progress. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean a territory swap? Does that mean a broader agreement along the massive boundary between India and China? Is India ready for that? And perhaps more than anything else, can China be trusted at all? Remember Galwan? Are the ghosts of Galwan truly dead? Yes, economic ties with China are important, but geostrategically, as the dragon and the tiger come closer, is there a lot for India to be concerned about? We'll be looking at all of these dimensions, but first, let's listen in to what the Chinese ambassador had to say to me a little while back.
And about the early harvest of the boundary question, you know that it's a very complicated and very important issue in the relationship between our two countries. Both of the readers have reached a very important consensus on the boundary issue, that is to making joint efforts to realize peace and tranquility in the border area. So according to this consensus, our two sides, I mean the working level, our two sides have kept very close interactions. The Chinese Foreign Minister and Special Representative on the boundary issue, Mr. Wang Yi, paid a very important visit to India, and he had a very successful meeting with Foreign Minister Dr. Jaishankar and also the National Security Advisor, Mr. Doval. And during these meetings, the two special representatives of China, India on the boundary question, they reached, that a 10-point consensus on the boundary issue. So both sides agreed to seek a framework for a fair, reasonable, and mutually acceptable settlement, and explore early harvest of boundary delimitation on appropriate sectors, and carry forward the process of border management and discuss de-escalation. I think it will be the responsibility of the WMCC, the working mechanism of consultation and cooperation. It will be their responsibility. But the early harvest should be the common aspiration of both our two sides. I personally also would like to see it be realized as soon as possible.
All right, so the Chinese are talking about an early harvest. I'm joined by Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni. He's been a former Director General of Infantry in the Indian Army, an ex-Chief of Staff in the Eastern Command. He's also been with 14 Corps. Phunchok Stobdan, the former Indian diplomat, and Einar Tangen, senior fellow at the Tahe Institute. Thank you all very much for being with us. General Kulkarni, let me come to you first. When the Chinese speak about an early harvest, the Chinese ambassador didn't directly answer my question on what exactly he meant by that. In your opinion, what are the Chinese looking at?
See, thank you, Vishnu. I think at the very outset, of course, China seems to be wanting good relations with India. India also would want good relations with China. But seeing the past, it's very important that we need to rebuild trust. And the onus of it lies more in China. Because it is China which has sort of done what it should not be doing, despite all of it going the good way. And primarily, Galwan was one incident. Despite all of it, what the ambassador referred to 10 points, there can be any number of points, but the bottom line remains for peace and tranquility. It is very important that the de-escalation and the disengagement is extremely important all along the LAC, and for which it's the most important thing is the trust. And the trust is what the Chinese, the responsibility is more on the Chinese. Who does not want to have good relations with the neighbors? But without the peace and tranquility along the LAC, it seems impossible, because to say that, well, borders can be set aside and we can build only trade relationships, that may not work. And it is not, again, in the context of US-India relationship. In Chinese context, it is border. We are neighbors. And it's very important that the two neighbors must be able to build trust. And at this point of time, I repeat again, the responsibility is more of China than of India. We would much like to have peace and tranquility, and as the Chinese must at all times be able to hold on to whatever the agreements take place. We've seen the 93 agreement, we had 96 agreement, we had the peace and tranquility along the border. Nothing of it worked. Yes, we did not open fire, but the incidents in Galwan are indicative the tensions along the LAC, and hopefully, if the tensions along the LAC reduce, there's disengagement, de-escalation, that would help India build better relations with China, and that could be a beginning. But trust, but verify. That is what I would say. We have to be vigilant. China cannot be trusted for reasons what they have been doing.
Okay, so one sec. Let me keep the strike rotating. Let me just go across to Einar Tangen as well. Mr. Tangen, what the Chinese ambassador did tell me is that the working mechanism which is already in place, it's called the WMCC, must provide an early resolution. In other words, what we were talking about a few days back about the political directive being given by the leaders of the two sides, that's been given. So the WMCC, the working mechanism, the people involved with that have to now deliver on the results. In your opinion, what results are we potentially looking at to fulfill what the Chinese call an early harvest?
I think there has to be more of a withdrawal. I disagree with my previous colleague who says it's all about what China has to do. It's a mutual operation. Trust is not something that one person gives another. It is about mutual trust if you're going to have some sort of agreement. So at this point, they're looking at something that gets both sides back. There are troops massed on both sides. There's a desire, as winter starts to peer its head, to withdraw that, to normalize that border situation. Exactly what it is, I do not know, neither do you. We could speculate all we want. At this point, they clearly have been given a mandate that they need to figure out some sort of plus. There obviously was some sort of goal that was set, and now it's just up to both sides to figure out the details of that particular phase. But I do not expect that there's going to be a complete resolution of the border issue. It is simply take one step at a time, one day at a time.
Lieutenant General S.L. Narasimhan also with us. General Narasimhan, let me come to you first. Again, the same question. The words early harvest find mention in both the Chinese document in Tianjin and in fact even earlier when the Special Representative and Foreign Minister of China was over here, it finds mention in our MEA document or MEA release as well. I'm just concerned about what early harvest might, not concerned, I'm curious about what early harvest might mean. Does it mean an acceptance of a delimited boundary in some parts?
Vishnu, thank you for getting me on your show. As usual, it's a pleasure to be with you. On this early harvest, firstly, it is supposed to be a group that has to be established. An expert group is supposed to be established, and that group is supposed to go into this early harvest of delimitation of some borders. So early harvest typically means two things. One is what can be easily achievable. Out of the three sectors that we have, the Western, Middle, and the Eastern, the Middle seems to be an easier sector to deal with, because at in that sector, we have already exchanged the maps, and then we know each other's positions, so it'll be easier to deal with. At some point in time, I think the Chinese also have been insisting on resolving some issues in Sikkim. So Sikkim and middle sector put together, I think that could be an option that this expert group can work on. But again, it is only very early stages. On this, they have to first work on themselves and thereafter discuss with the Chinese and then go for delimitation. So the problem that you will find is in the Chinese readout, they talked about demarcation. Now, demarcation is going to come much later. So these are the dichotomies that needs to be resolved, and it is going to take some time and effort basically to do this. So if you look at early harvest, it could mean either a middle sector or a combination of middle sector and Sikkim is something which you can look at, because that is the easiest sector to resolve. That is how you can see it. Otherwise, the whole sector, whole line of actual control, it is going to be extremely difficult to delimit at a very short period of time.
General Narasimhan, before I go across to my other guest, just a point of clarification. When you talk about the middle sector and partly to the east, does that include Doklam, which India believes to lie within Bhutanese territory, but it's quite obvious that a large part of that is now occupied by China. So when you talk about the central sector and east, would you look at the ground reality in Doklam potentially being an area where both sides might agree?
You see, there are three places in Sikkim that you need to be looking at. One is the area of Finger, which has been written about in many of the media. That is one issue. Second issue is at Nakula. You remember during 2020 also in Nakula, there was an incident wherein some injuries and all took place. That is the second place. Third place will be the Dolam area. So Dolam area also needs to be resolved at this point in time in case you need to resolve it. But that is, again, is going to be a bit of an issue, because then Bhutan also needs to get involved there. So this is something which is, again, evolving. We need to look at which sector or which area you can do that. In the middle sector, I don't think we include Sikkim. Sikkim has to be probably as part of the eastern sector. However, middle sector and Sikkim are probably the areas where one could look at.
Ambassador Stobdan, in the past, and correct me if I'm wrong, India has always wanted a larger agreement, not low-hanging fruit as they were. We want a resolution, because quite frankly, that's the one thing between our countries which stands in the way of greater prosperity for both. And yet the Chinese are making the point that let's deal with early harvests. Does that clash with what India has wanted in the past?
Ambassador has repeated this argument for the last 15 days since Foreign Minister Wang Yi had come to India. Is he talking about peace and tranquility? Because he mentioned that. On the other hand, he says settlement of the border. So I'm not clear what they are talking. Now, early harvest, he's also talking about specific sectors. So there is a lack of clarity in what, of course, WMC has discussed all these things. We are also party to this outcome of the 10 points. But I do feel that it's also a posturing of throwing the ball on the Indian side. Look, we have, so that it goes on the record, we offered you this. But if you back out, then it's not my problem. So I think, the Chinese have a beautiful art of transforming crisis into opportunity. Now, today we have a crisis with the United States. They want to transform this into an opportunity in their favor. So they're very skillful about this. And I'm not very optimistic about this border outcome unless I think there is a huge bargaining stage is come to take shape immediately. Given the political landscape in India, China, I don't know how much the internal politics. Prime Minister Modi is still in a position to do some bargaining negotiation. Chinese believe in negotiating tactics. That art we haven't learned. And so, to me now, it will get into the negotiation mode. We don't know the details. The NSL level things must have taken place in a much broader way. So I'm optimistic, but at the same time very cautious.
Okay, spoken like a true diplomat. Let's listen in to a little bit more of what the Chinese ambassador said earlier today.
So the United States is imposing tariffs up to 50% on India. I would say it is unfair. During the SEO summit, President Xi and Prime Minister Modi had a very important meeting. You know that at that meeting, President Xi just said that China and India, that we are at a very crucial stage of development and rejuvenation. And as the two biggest, at two very important emerging economies, China and India, that should focus on development and promote mutual support, mutual complementarity, and mutual success. And then Prime Minister Modi just said that India-China cooperation will make the 21st century a genuine Asian century. So long as China and India and see each other as a development opportunity instead of threat.
So the Chinese ambassador saying that this can be saying that Prime Minister Modi told President Xi that this can be a genuinely Asian century if the two countries work together. That's rhetoric. We've heard that before. Einar Tangen, I think we need to talk a little bit about America. The Chinese ambassador over here saying that, it's unfair that 50% sanctions were imposed on India. That's an interesting remark coming from the Chinese ambassador in New Delhi. Be that as it may, is this not a case of China taking advantage of a certain vacuum which has been created in India-US relations because of Donald Trump?
Let's be clear. The situation with the United States has nothing to do with China. This situation where India thought that the U.S. friend, that they had an understanding and that India was going to act as a kind of doorstop to China. That was not something that China was trying to engineer or anything like that. When Modi came to China, he was welcomed. You could see clearly from the optics that he felt comfortable. He was together with Putin and with Xi. You saw the picture of them laughing, exchanging. It's clear that they get along and they trust. Contrast that with Donald Trump and the way he was treating his nearest allies, the European Union. They're like a bunch of school children being called to class while the teacher lectured them. Now, at this point, I think it's the wrong way to impute what perhaps India might do in that similar situation. I mean, what Modi has said actually is a mirror image of what Xi said in 2013, and that is the Asian century will be defined by the relations between India and China. So, you have to understand that there are different cultural approaches to these things. China likes to be very friendly up front, and they are tough in negotiations, I agree. But on the Indian side, there's this tendency to say, what are you going to do for me? And, it's kind of odd to have a situation where one, idea falls apart with the United States, and then you turn around and say, oh, China, you owe me, you got to do something. That isn't, it's not rational. It's not the way you do a negotiation. I think both sides are trying in good faith to figure out how they can
I
deal
tend
with
to
this.
agree. I tend to disagree, Mr. Tangen, slightly with with that interpretation. I'm not sure Delhi is asking Beijing, what are you going to do for me?
No, not Delhi.
I
was
do
talking
believe
about
that there is an element of pragmatism.
I was talking about your previous guest, the first one who said, "Oh, it's on China. They have to do this. They have to do that." That's not the way to get things done. If you want
trust, I get it.
And he mentioned
I
trust.
get it. All right.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, fair enough. General Kulkarni, would you like to respond to that point? The point that Einar Tangen disagrees with you on is where you said that, it's for China to take a certain series of steps. And he says, and his point is that, look, it's not a one-way process. It has to be done by both sides. How would you respond?
I completely agree with Mr. Tangen. It is mutual respect and mutual trust. And in that case, I said, the breach of trust has been done by Chinese. And therefore, it's the Chinese responsibility to rebuild trust is very important. Of course, no relationship can be built without mutual trust and mutual respect. That's the most important thing. In the last 75 years, middle sector, the maps have been exchanged for not more than 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Is that the way we go about it? It's very important. China is our neighbor, and we would much want excellent relationship with China. And that's the building of that trust is to have peace and tranquility along the LAC. But I fully agree with him. Mutual trust, mutual respect. But at no point of time, I personally feel, being a man on the ground, that the breach of trust was from China. And therefore, the responsibility to rebuild trust is more on China than on us. But notwithstanding that, it is mutual respect, mutual trust. I will always go along with it. Yeah, Krishna.
One final small part of that interaction with the Chinese ambassador. Let's play that out.
And have the dragon and elephant dance together. Over the past 75 years, China-India relations have experienced twists and turns, but friendly cooperation has always been the dominant theme. The two sides have earnestly implemented the important consensus reached by the two leaders. The two foreign ministers exchanged visits. The special representatives on the boundary question, defense ministers and vice foreign minister, foreign secretary, maintained frequent interactions. We should view and handle the relationship from a strategic and long-term perspective and keep to the overarching direction of being each other's cooperation partner instead of rival, and seeing each other as development opportunity instead of threat. Today, we can also cooperate to overcome difficulties, resolve differences through dialogue, and achieve development through solidarity.
General Narasimhan, all of you on this panel, all my Indian guests on this panel have at some stage or the other dealt with China, either as soldiers or, in the case of Mr. Stobdan, as a diplomat. But what the Chinese ambassador is asking for here is the ultimate goal. He says, trust, don't look at each other as rivals, look at each other as potential opportunities. As we go about talking to the Chinese, that means a massive leap of faith over here in New Delhi. General Narasimhan, is the army ready for that?
I think 3 or 4 points have come up. One is, of course, the Chinese side is talking about the settlement of the border, which is going to be a long-drawn process that we have discussed earlier. Second thing is the negotiation techniques which Ambassador Stobdan brought out. I think we have actually matured in that quite a bit. When we negotiate with the Chinese, we have stood our ground, we have got what we wanted. Third is, of course, the three mutuals that we keep talking about. 2 mutuals got referred to by Sanjay as well as Mr. Ainar. But I think the third mutual is also very important. The mutual interest is extremely important for us. So that is something that we need to keep in mind. And fourth thing is, I think this improvement in the relationship with China, I don't think we should link it to the India-US or US-China relationship. The reason I am saying this is basically because if you take your mind back, when we did the first disengagement in 2022, after that we have been in discussions with the Chinese for a very long time. And when we signed that agreement on 21st of October 24, Thereafter, you found a forward movement in this relationship. That is a time when Mr. Trump had not even taken over as the president of the United States. So let us not link this. There is a feeling that India and China are neighbors, and we need to. You can't wish the neighbors away. That is one point. Second thing, we need to discuss with them, build the trust with them. We will do our effort, and we expect the Chinese also to do their effort. So that is the way I think we need to see this.
Sure.
Otherwise, this relationship has been one of a difficult relationship since 2020. We are trying to bring in some semblance of some stability in this relationship. As both the sides have mentioned, both Prime Minister mentioned it in his meeting with Mr. Xi Jinping, and even otherwise in the special representative talks also it was mentioned. Ever since the special representative talks of the 23rd one, which took place in December last year, the LSE seems to have been stable. So that is a positive point that we are looking at. And we have always been insisting that the prerequisite is the peace and tranquility on the line of actual control to take this process forward. So that process has been achieved. Now we need to look at the various other aspects of this relationship, and it is going to take a lot of time and effort on this.
Okay. General Narasimhan and all my guests, I'm out of time on this. I'd like to thank you very much. But it is interesting, the Chinese ambassador speaking to just a few of us and trying to take forward at his level the process of dialogue. Let's see if it actually works out into anything. We'll leave it over there. Thanks very much for being with us. Good night.
Pulling us into this country.
They argue, I conclude. They deflect, I drill down. This isn't a free-for-all. It's a reckoning. No filler, no fog. Only the facts and where they lead. Every night at 9, the case closes because the buck stops here.
Welcome to my unit. So I'll just brief you through the mechanized platform of the Indian Army that we have here.
Sure.
So in mechanized, basically we have armored, mechanized infantry, these two things. So I'll just take you around the equipment also, and I'll tell you what is the difference between both also.
Okay. So what is the difference between the tank? One is the tank and one is a
BMP.
What is the full form?
It's Boyovoy Machino Picote. It's a Russian term.
Acha, Russian term. Acha.
Yeah. So infantry yeah, it's an infantry combat vehicle.
Okay. Similar to tank.
It's similar to tank. The main difference in this is in tank we have a crew of 3.
Okay.
But in this we also have the stick also. Stick are people, infantry people who can get down, dismount and fight.
Ah, acha.
So that capability also we have in a BMP.
Okay.
So basically here now, this is our training area.
Okay.
In which we'll be showing you how a new driver is being trained. We'll show you the obstacle courses that we have, and we'll show you completely the way it's happening. So first we just, from here you can see we have the number plates over there, 1, 2.
Right.
These are various obstacles.
Okay.
Which the BMP and the tank will also be negotiating.
Okay.
So we have the tank head which will be leading.
Yeah.
Then we have 2 BMPs.
Okay. So does the tank have a steering wheel or levers, or how does it work?
For a tank, it's basically 2 levers we have.
2 levers.
And whereas when it comes to BMP, it is like a steering wheel, but cut steering wheel, like a sports car steering wheel.
Achha.
It's that kind of a steering wheel. It's amphibious. So I'll be showing you that.
Oh, I see.
तो ये अभी हम यहाँ
देखेंगे.
अच्छा. Oh, wow. क्या बात है.
From here now, would you like to go on a ride?
Oh, I'd love that. Come.
What seems settled for me is unfinished business. So I rewind, I pause, I reflect, I dig until what's buried stands up to be counted. Breaking ground, not just headlines, the meaning behind them. This is Breaking Ground with me, Vedika Sood.
हम नेक्स्ट जनरेशन जीएसटी रिफॉर्म्स लेकर के आ रहे हैं ये दिवाली के अंदर.
I think it will have a very positive impact on the GDP.
A landmark reform, a new economic chapter, a nation rising together. NDTV Profit presents the GST Conclave with Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, policymakers and industry leaders reflecting on GST 2.0 and charting the road ahead. NDTV Profit GST Conclave Reforms for a Resurgent India. 9 September, 3 p.m. onwards on NDTV.
Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Osama Shah. Ladies and gentlemen, Nepal, it is in turmoil. There has been a massive protest that has been going on since morning today. The Home Minister, Mr. Ramesh Lekhak, he has tendered his resignation, but the Prime Minister, Mr. Oli, he is unwilling to relent. He says that the ban on social media apps, it will continue. We'll get you all the details, but first, let's take a look at the headlines. The battle lines have been drawn for the vice presidential elections. NDA's Radhakrishnan versus opposition's Sudarshan Reddy. BJD and BRS in the meanwhile will abstain from voting. The Nepal protests continue. Over 19 people have lost their lives, 347 injured. The Nepal Prime Minister refuses to lift the social media ban. And amid the uproar, the Nepal Home Minister steps down. Supreme Court asked the Election Commission to consider Aadhaar as a document for identity of voter in Bihar SIR. The court said that Aadhaar must be accepted as the 12th document to establish identity of an individual for the purpose of inclusion or exclusion from the electoral roll. The situation turned volatile in Madhu town in Mandya district following stone pelting allegedly by miscreants from another community during Ganpati immersion. Extra policemen have been deployed to maintain peace. The BJP, in the meanwhile, has called for a bandh tomorrow over this incident. Congress MP's shocking remark over the Hazrat Bal Shrine Vandalism Act. Congress MP Tariq Anwar, he says, what's done is done. Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news coming in at this point of time. Nepal is in turmoil while the Home Minister, Ramesh Lekhak, he has tendered his resignation this evening amid the nationwide uproar after over 19 people were killed and hundreds were injured. The Prime Minister refuses to lift the social media ban. The Prime Minister, KP Sharma Oli, has refused to lift the ongoing ban on social media apps. In fact, at the cabinet meeting, which was held on Monday, the Health and Population Minister Pradeep Paudel suggested that the ban on social media should be lifted. However, the Prime Minister, Mr. Oli, maintained that the government's decision was correct and could not be reconsidered, according to one minister. Prime Minister Oli is still against reopening social media. The cabinet has taken no decision. And Prabhakar Kumar joins us to get us more on this. Prabhakar, take us through the latest as far as this decision by the Prime Minister to not lift the ban on social media is concerned.
Yes, it's very, very embarrassing for the Nepal government. We have seen the kind of protests which happened today, not only in Kathmandu, but across the state of Nepal. And the Home Minister, there was an emergency meeting convened by the Prime Minister. The Home Minister had to offer his resignation. But just because of the day's protest, if the government actually decides to roll back this big decision which was being debated in Nepal for so long, it would certainly be a big embarrassment for the Nepal government. And the Nepal government is is kind of hoping that things would cool down if the time is given to them, and they also they have opened a backroom channel for discussion with the agitating students. But the problem in this entire case is that this is a protest being headed by group of students. So there's no head as such. There's no one person with whom the Nepal government can actually sit across the table and try to diffuse the situation. Though a few political parties have jumped into it and they are trying to take advantage of him, trying to lead this protest from the front. But the students, basically, the Gen Z is leading the protest. So it's a headless protest which is going on, and that is actually aggravating the situation and further complicating it.
Right. While Nepal is witnessing one of its biggest youth-led uprising in the recent years, the Prime Minister of Nepal, Mr. K.P. Sharma Oli, his government has defended the ban as a matter of sovereignty and regulation, is what the Prime Minister of Nepal has said. Another breaking news coming in. The situation has worsened in Nepal. The death toll has mounted to over 20 now, and at least 500 people have been injured. In fact, Nepal, as I mentioned, it is witnessing one of its biggest uprising in the recent years. The street of Kathmandu and several other cities were flooded with protesters after the government's sudden decision to ban 26 major social media platforms, including Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube, Instagram, as well as X. And what began as peaceful demonstrations, it turned violent. Over 20 people have lost their life. In fact, 20 people, which is the official figure right now. The death toll mount to 20 as of now. Over 500 people have been injured. All right, let me go back to my colleague Prabhakar Kumar. Prabhakar, is there any thing said by the government in Nepal that they are willing to at least have a conversation with the students? Are they willing to, in order to diffuse this entire situation? Because this is turning into a really big protest out there.
They are more than willing, and they have opened all channels to ensure that the talk happens and this entire situation is diffused. But the problem with the government is that they don't know whom to talk to, because it's, as I told you, it's a headless protest which is going on. So there's no one person who is in charge of this entire protest which is happening. There's no one organization which is organizing this. It's a group of Gen Zs. It's a students. It's basically the youngsters who are actually leading it, and they are doing things on their own. So this completely, they have gone rogue. They are out on the streets. They are attacking the government offices. And the government certainly wants to diffuse it, though few political parties wanted to lead this protest from the front. But the students who were actually out on the streets, they even shoot those politicians away. So the problem with the government is whom to talk to. Who will be the talking head from it? Because every city of Nepal, which is disturbed because of this ongoing agitation, is being led by a different group of students, different set of students. And remember, they're all college-going students, some of them even school-going students. They are out on the streets because they are the ones who think that their right actually is being deprived, and they are the main users of these social media platforms, as we know. So they are agitated. They want this to be immediately rolled back, and they don't want to settle for anything less than rolling back of this entire order, which would certainly be embarrassing for the government to do so, because if a protest happens for a day and then the government has to roll back such an important order, it would certainly be an embarrassment for them. So they're refraining from doing so, and they have, as I told you, they have opened all backroom channels to have a discussion with the ongoing agitators, trying to diffuse the situation. At the same time, government is flexing their muscles. The army is out on the street, apart from the police, because police tried to contain the situation today, but we saw what the result was. That more than 20 deaths, so many injured, and still the tension prevails in most of the cities. So the army is also out on the street. They're trying to diffuse it, but so far things seems to be going upwards.
All right, Prabhakar Kumar, thank you very much for getting us all those details. Well, a federal appeals court on Monday upheld a civil jury's findings that President Donald Trump must pay $83.3 million to E. Jean Carroll for his repeated social media attacks against the longtime advice columnist after she accused him of sexual assault. A three-judge panel of the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals rejected Trump's appeal of the defamation award, finding that the jury's damages awards are fair and reasonable. Trump had argued the damages were unreasonably excessive and pushed for a new trial in the light of Supreme Court's expansion of presidential immunity. And my colleague Vishal Vivek joins us live to get us more on this. Vishal, this is a key observation there by the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals.
That's exactly right. This is another chapter in his legal setbacks that have, plagued him ever since he walked into the White House for the second time. And this was widely expected because the lower court had, handed a very, harsh judgment on him and ordered him to pay $83.3 million to the aforementioned writer E. Jean Carroll, who had, accused him of, sexual abuse and also the fact that he went on to defame her on repeated occasions. So that the court had heard on two different occasions. There were two different cases going on in different courts from the same writer, and she had gone on to claim the aforementioned claims and said that Donald Trump used social media, his own social media, to repeatedly defame her, and the court had agreed to her, and now the appeals court has also agreed to her. So, which means Donald Trump will have to appeal this to the Supreme Court and wait for some reprieve. But that will take some time. The legal course will take its time because Donald Trump has been embroiled in a lot of these controversies, which seem to have affected his presidential, campaign. But he's nonetheless not the second time president now. But this legal, hurdle has been continuing for him one after the other, and this is yet another chapter in that set of legal hurdles. How this will unfold, only time will tell, but this is indeed some bad publicity for the US president.
All right, Vishal Vivek, thank you very much for getting us all those details. And the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, he represented India at the BRICS summit and sent India's message via a virtual summit. India has called for resilient supply chains and UN reforms. In fact, Dr. S. Jaishankar, he said that India's message was that BRICS should work towards stabilizing the international economy, address the impact of ongoing conflicts on the global south, and proactively support reforming multilateralism.
The world today also seeks an urgent resolution of ongoing conflicts. The global south has experienced a deterioration in its food, energy, and fertilizer security, where shipping is targeted. Not just trade, but livelihoods also suffer. A selective protection cannot be a global answer. An early end to the hostilities and undertaking diplomacy to ensure a durable solution is the obvious pathway before us. The working of international organizations in the last few years has witnessed major shortfalls in many areas. On key issues, we have unfortunately seen that gridlocks have undermined the search for common ground. These experiences have only made the case for reformed multilateralism generally, and that of the United Nations and its Security Council specifically, more urgent. The BRICS have taken a positive view of this need for reform, and we expect that it would collectively become a strong voice for much awaited change. Excellencies, even as the world grapples with policy changes, we must not lose sight of bigger concerns, especially climate change. Sadly, both climate action and climate justice are currently slipping in global priorities. We need new thinking and initiatives as well. I commend the International Solar Alliance the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, and the Global Biofuels Alliance for your consideration.
Well, the stage is all set for the vice presidential election in India, with both the NDA and the opposition parties organizing meetings and even mock polls to prepare their MPs for the voting process. This rehearsal aims to ensure clarity and coordination among members of the India bloc as well as the NDA, especially as tensions rise over procedural concerns and political messaging, because the numbers matter and also the margin of victory or loss. Meanwhile, the regional parties like the BJD and BRS, they have chosen to abstain, citing unresolved issues such as fertilizer shortages and farmer distress, adding another layer of complexity to the electoral landscape.
Why BRS has decided not to take part in the vice presidential elections?
Well, BRS party, the leadership, for the last 1 month, we've been highlighting the issue of farmers. And our leader has repeatedly said that there is a severe farmers' fertilizer crisis in Telangana, and we're in the midst of a campaign, an important election like the vice president, and there the farmers are facing these hardships. Please rescue. We made representations, we spoke in Parliament, we spoke in the Assembly, we tried to sensitize both the governments, Delhi and Hyderabad. Nothing worked. So we were left with no other option but to, abstain. Abstaining probably may not matter much in terms of number. But the question is, we abstaining for this specific reason, we are confident could probably bring in some relief to the farmers.
Discussions by our Honorable Party President Shri Naveen Patnaik ji with the party's senior leaders, Political Affairs Committee and MPs, the Biju Janata Dal has decided to abstain from the vice presidential elections tomorrow. The BJD remains equidistant from both NDA and India alliances. We are focused on the development and welfare of Odisha and 4.5 crore people of Odisha.
How important is this vice presidential election for the DMK, particularly when NDA has its numbers?
No, it is very important to have this election because this is a part of the democratic process, and it doesn't mean that we have to let it go unchallenged, whoever the candidate from NDA is. Let us wait for the votes to be counted. We cannot do SIR in this, no? So obviously let's wait for the votes to be counted.
Is it a delicate situation for the DMK that you are forced to oppose a candidate from Tamil Nadu, in this case Mr. Radhakrishnan?
No, it is not a delicate situation at all, because the Chief Minister has been very clear that this is an ideological fight. It is not about any individual. It is an ideological fight, and it's a fight for democracy. So we are not confused, or we have no regrets about fielding a candidate from the opposition.
And tension gripped Madur town in Mandya district after communal clashes erupted during Lord Ganesha idol immersion on Sunday. This is what the police said. The situation turned volatile following stone pelting allegedly by miscreants from another community, leading to widespread unrest. According to police sources, it started when people were taking part in the immersion procession in Ram Rahim Nagar. These clashes broke out between youths from both the communities, forcing the police to intervene. The district administration has now appealed to both the communities to cooperate with law enforcement to restore normalcy.
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಸೀದಿ ಮುಂದೆ ಮೆರವಣಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುವಾಗ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗಲಾಟೆ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಲಘು ಲಾಠಿ ಪ್ರಹಾರ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ನವರು. ಯಾಕಂತಂದರೆ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ನವ್ರು ಮಾತು ನೀವು ನಿಲ್ಬೇಡಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳಿಲ್ಲ ಅವರು. ಗುಂಪು ಕಟ್ಟಿಕೊಂಡು ಗಲಾಟೆ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಲಘು ಲಾಠಿ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸುಮಾರು 21 ಜನ ಅರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಯಾರು ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಹಿಂದೂಗಳು ಮಾಡಲಿ, ಮುಸಲ್ಮಾನರು ಮಾಡಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವುದೇ ಮಾಡಲಿ, ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಾನೂನು ರೀತಿಯ ಕ್ರಮ ತಗೊಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ನಡೆದಿಲ್ಲ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ. ಮದ್ದೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಂಗಾಗಿದೆ.
What is this nonsense it is happening? And they are pelting stones from a religious structure, from a masjid. Why can't state government instruct the police to take preventive action?
Provocation came from the masjid. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬಂದಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು. Hindus never act, they only react. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಇವತ್ತು ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಏನು, ನಾವು ವಾಪಸ್ ಅವರಿಗೇನು ಹೋಗಿ ನಾವು ದಾಳಿ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮವರು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಸೇರಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ಗೂ ಬಂದು ನ್ಯಾಯ ಕೊಡಿ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ವಿ ಆರ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಸೀಕಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇನೆ. ಪ್ರೊವೊಕೇಶನ್ ಅವ್ರ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಬಂದಿರೋದು, ಮಸೀದಿನ ಜಪ್ತಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಮಚ್ಚು ಲಾಂಗು ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ಅವ್ರು ಸೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಆ ಮಸೀದಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಕಲ್ಲು ಹ್ಯಾಂಗ್ ಬಂತು, ಆ ಮುಲ್ಲಾ ಯಾವನಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಆ ಮುಲ್ಲಾನ ಮೇಲೆ FIR ಆಗಬೇಕು. ನಮಗೆ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲಿ ಮೋಟಿವೇಟೆಡ್ ಅನ್ನೋದಾದ್ರೆ, ನೀವು ಹಿಂದೆ 2 ದಿನದ ಹಿಂದೆ ಮುಸಲ್ಮಾನರು ಶಾಂತಿ ಪ್ರಿಯರು ಅಂತಂದ್ರು. ಕಲ್ಬಿಸಾಡ್ದವ್ರು ಯಾರು ಸರ್? ಶಾಂತಿ ಪ್ರಿಯರು ಕಲ್ಬಿಸಾಡ್ತಾರ? UAPI ಕೇಸ್ಗಳು ಯಾಕೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರಿ? ಯಾಕೆ KJಹಳ್ಳಿ ಮತ್ತು DJಹಳ್ಳಿ ಪ್ರಕರಣಗಳಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಂಥ ಕೇಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ವಾಪಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರಿ? ವಫ್ಗೆ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಮುಖಾಂತರವಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಿಂದೂಗಳ ಭೂಮಿಯನ್ನು ಕಬಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲ, ಇದ್ರ ಮೆಸೇಜಿಂಗ್ ಏನು? ಭುವನೇಶ್ವರಿ ತಾಯಿಯನ್ನ, ಕನ್ನಡ ಬಾವುಟವನ್ನು ಅವಮಾನಿಸಿದಾಕೆಯನ್ನ ಯಾಕಾಗಿ ದಸರಾ ಉದ್ಘಾಟನೆ ಕರಿತಾ ಇದ್ರಿ? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಬಹಳ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯನವರು ಆಂಟಿ ಹಿಂದೂ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
An incident has happened in Mandya, Maddur. Some sort of a stone pelting, all that. It is now controlled. Police have already arrested few people and everything is under control. They have also kept Section 144 also. Everything under control.
कल मंड्या में गणेश चतुर्थी का गणपति का प्रोसेशन चल रहा था. कई लोग पत्थर फेंके एंड हमारा ध्वज को अपमान किया, गणेश को अपमान किया. लास्ट ईयर भी, पिछले साल भी यही मंड्या में नागमंगला में हुआ था. ये साल कल मद्दूर में, मंड्या जिला का मंदूर में हुआ. सरकार हिंदुओं को दमन करने का, हिंदू भावनाओं को दमन करने का काम कर्नाटका में कर रहा है. मैं इसको विरोध करती हूँ. एंड तुरंत ही कौन कल पत्थर फेंका, गणेश को अपमान किया, प्रोसेशन में बाधा डाला, उसको तुरंत ही अरेस्ट करना, कार्रवाई करना. नहीं तो ऐसा एक माहौल है कर्नाटका में, हम बच नहीं सकते.
We are inside this small village in Maddur. This is the Siddharthanagar area, right where the clashes took place last night during the Ganesha procession. And you can see at this point in time, policemen have been deployed across the stretch of this street. Now, the official information that we are of course gathering is that while the procession reached exactly this location near this place of worship, the masjid, it is being alleged that stones started to come in from the first floor of this building, and after which of course the people who were in the procession started to get injured, and then there was retaliation as well. As we look at these pictures now, you can see the glass panes of this particular building also damaged. This was after there was a retaliatory stone pelting that took place, is what we are picking up. Over 25 people right now have been arrested. Multiple FIRs have been registered. This is firstly suo moto from the police and also based on the complaints that have been given by those who were injured. There was also widespread protests that took place today condemning what happened last night. And during that, there was mild lathi charge as well that the police had to resort to, and some people have been injured during those protests as well. Now, the JDS and the BJP are both saying that the protests are only going to intensify. They want the cops to act strictly against those who pelted stones, identify how the stones came inside. They also allege that from a place nearby, there were machetes and rods that were used to assault people as well. And the BJP is also demanding that the person in charge or the Maulvi of the masjid as well should be booked. We'll really have to see how things really develop politically, with the Chief Minister making it very clear that whoever is the culprit behind the violence will be brought to book.
And actor Rajinikanth and actor Kamal Haasan, they are set to act together after 46 long years. Kamal Haasan had confirmed while speaking at a private event. In fact, there was speculation of Rajinikanth and Kamal Haasan coming together. There was no much details that were revealed. However, speculations are that director Lokesh Kanagraj is likely to direct this particular movie. And last week, NDTV hosted the Bhopal chapter of its seminal regional event, the Emerging Business Conclave, with Chief Minister Dr. Mohan Yadav as the chief guest. The event focused on how entrepreneurship, education, skill and vocation are making Madhya Pradesh a developed and inclusive state. Also speaking at this event was Bhuvan Ribhu, the founder of Just Rights for Children.
Emerging Business Conclave में आप सभी का स्वागत है.
देश के दिल मध्य प्रदेश की
The NDTV Emerging Business Conclave Bhopal chapter was a confluence of the state's topmost policymakers, Chief Minister Dr. Mohan Yadav, ministers, business and thought leaders, academicians, artists and entrepreneurs. One of the most powerful conversations at the conclave reminded us that while education lays the path to a future-ready workforce and can transform the nation's economy, child marriage steals that promise. Cutting short dreams, silencing potential and closing the doors to a life of opportunity.
बाल विवाह को खत्म कर दें.
The conversation was with eminent child rights activist and founder of Just Rights for Children, Bhuvan Ribhu, who talked about how early protection and proper social reforms contribute to long-term economic development and sustainable business ecosystems. This discussion emphasized that safeguarding children's rights and ensuring their education isn't just a social responsibility, it's the bedrock of a thriving, inclusive economy.
अब भारत में आज मात्र 19,000 करोड़ रुपए की जरूरत है देश की हर बच्ची को 18 वर्ष तक शिक्षा दिलाने के लिए. तो कोई कारण नहीं है कि अगर सारा भारत इसको कॉर्पोरेट सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी से अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी थोपी हुई के बजाय कॉर्पोरेट सोशल अकाउंटेबिलिटी की तरह देखे कि ये हमारी अकाउंटेबिलिटी भी है, ये हमारी जिम्मेदारी के साथ साथ हमारी अपनी सोच भी है. तो वी मस्ट इन्वेस्ट इन एजुकेशन ऑन वन साइड एंड ऑन द अदर वी मस्ट इन्वेस्ट इन सेफ्टी, इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी. अगर हमारी बच्चियां, अगर हमारी बहनें सुरक्षित महसूस नहीं करती, अगर जस्टिस डिलीवरी पॉसिबल नहीं है, तो ये फिर बिजनेस फ्लरिश नहीं कर सकते.
And why is this an important point to make? The World Bank estimates that integrating 50% of women into the workforce could boost India's GDP by 1.5%. Ending child marriage is not just a moral obligation, it's an economic necessity. The conclave provided a platform to investors and entrepreneurs who are holistically shaping the development story of Madhya Pradesh. The discussion highlighted the seminal role that business persons have in ensuring social justice through the impact and control they wield.
Be just. Be just. मैं आपके अंदर जो ये सही और गलत की सोच है, अगर ये बच्चा मेरा होता तो मैं क्या करता, अगर इस इलाके में मेरे बच्चे रह रहे होते तो मैं क्या करता, मेरी फैक्ट्री के बाहर अगर मेरी बेटी घूम रही होती पैदल तो मैं क्या करता, जो मैं तब करता उसी की जिम्मेदारी लेने के लिए मैं आपसे अनुरोध करूंगा. भारत पॉसिबिलिटीज़ की जगह है और आज हम ऐसे मुकाम पर पहुंचे हैं जहां सारी दुनिया में कम से कम बच्चों की सुरक्षा का तो लीडर हम ही हैं. तो अगर हम भारत में बाल विवाह या ट्रैफिकिंग या इस तरह की बुराइयों को ख़त्म कर देंगे तो दुनिया की 1/3 बुराइयां खत्म हो जाएंगी.
Ultimately, protecting our children from these crimes is a collective responsibility that requires more than just money. It demands our time, conscience, and unwavering commitment to justice.
Time for a very short break. More news and updates on the other side.
We see the problems, but you as a social entrepreneur see the solutions. You are not just creating solution, you are creating a future where everyone has a chance to thrive. For the change makers, the innovators, the ones building a better world, one solution at a time. The Adani Green Talk Social Impact Awards are created for you. Green Talk Social Impact Awards 2025, coming soon.
हेलो
हेलो
बोलिए मैडम, डब्बा ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा।
We investigated a shady advisory firm that has spent big bucks on advertising on the front pages of national dailies.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसे हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है?
मैडम एक बात को खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ, कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं?
After our report, we also saw NSE came out with a cautionary circular to the investors. Market Regulator Securities and Exchange Board of India has also come out with a release talking about the actions that it has taken. Cyber complaint has also been filed against the entities involved in this entire Dabba trading scam.
Presenting the all-knowing, all-powerful Tech Guru.
Whoa. Guru? I'm no guru.
Okay.
I'm just a guy who loves his tech.
A show where the mysteries of megabytes and motherboards shall be unraveled.
Bro, nobody talks like that anymore. This is all about connected ecosystems, EVs and AI that you can use in your daily lives. We aren't talking about time travel yet.
Gadgets tested under extreme conditions.
But why? I review tech for people like you and me. You know what? Let me take it from here.
All right.
Tech isn't that complicated. In fact, it's about making our lives simpler, better, and more fun. That's what we do on Tech 360. Real talk, real reviews, tech that you can actually use.
Tech has changed. So should your tech show.
Before we began this episode, Vishnu was walking around this gun right now and having a really good time. Vishnu, the weapons. Let's talk about the weapons right now.
No, I think the weapons are absolutely incredible. And Commodore, why don't you come in on this? This is an upgraded gun mount. Eventually, all of the ships of this class will have this upgraded gun mount. She carries BrahMos missiles, MR SAMs as well. How does this represent one of the most formidable capabilities for ships of this class, not just in the region, but anywhere in the world?
So Vishnu, I would like to highlight one very important aspect in this class of ships, and that is the indigenous fire punch that we pack with us. Yeah. So weapons, sensors are very complex systems, and very few countries across the world have this capability to have very potent and very credible weapon and sensor package. So what the P-17 Alpha class of ship gets to the table is the fact that the larger majority of our weapons are indigenous. They are built, designed and operated and maintained thereafter throughout their life cycle by the companies and the wherewithal of India. And that's a really proud moment for us to have this opportunity and this capability with us that today we showcase. So if we take this, the Super Rapid gun mount, which is there in front of us, an amazingly formidable weapon capable of deploying ammunition across multi-domains for multi-role, multi-tasks. So the SRGM is one of the best weapons in the world, and we proudly host this on board our class of ship. Addition to this is also the BrahMos, which you spoke of. It's proven its mettle, its battle worthiness, and we feel amazingly proud to be today here having this capability with us. Again, an indigenous capability. What you see thereafter is also the integrated rocket launcher. So whilst we are very formidable in the above water warfare, the underwater warfare itself is also a very challenging domain that we face today. And in that also, if you see the package that we have with us, the integrated rocket launchers, 2 of them, they are again indigenous in nature and give us great capability. When I speak of the sensors also, the sonar, it's a Hamsa Mark 3 sonar that we are operating.
Indian sonar.
It's an Indian sonar. So that gives us immense pride of hosting the entire capability which we are hosting is of indigenous nature. This AK-630 gun that we have, which has got huge firepower, is against
Battle lines drawn for the vice presidential elections. NDA's C.P. Radhakrishnan and opposition's Sudarshan Reddy take on each other. BJD and the BRS set to abstain from voting. Nepal in turmoil. Over 19 people have been killed and 347, around 500 people injured in the protests. The Nepal Prime Minister, in the meanwhile, refuses to lift the social media ban, and amid the uproar, Nepal Home Minister steps down. The Supreme Court asks the Election Commission to consider Aadhaar as document for identity of voter in Bihar SIR. The court said Aadhaar must be accepted as the 12th document to establish identity of an individual. The situation turned volatile in Madhur town in Mandya district following stone pelting allegedly by miscreants from another community during Ganpati immersion. Extra policemen have been deployed to maintain peace. The BJP, in the meanwhile, has called for a bandh tomorrow over the incident. Congress MP's shocking remark on the Hazratbal Shrine Vandalism Act. The Congress MP, Tariq Anwar, he says, what is done is done. Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Osama Shah. Nepal is in turmoil, and Home Minister Ramesh Lekhak, he has tendered his resignation amid nationwide uproar after at least 20 people were killed and hundreds have been injured in the sprawling youth-led Gen Z protests against a sweeping social media ban and perceived government corruption. Nepal, ladies and gentlemen, it is witnessing one of its biggest youth-led uprising in the recent years, and the Prime Minister, he has been unwilling to relent. He says that the ban on all the social media apps will remain. And my colleague Ranveer Singh joins us on the phone line to get us more on this. Ranveer, is there any possibility that this crisis, it could destabilize the government in Nepal or in a way trigger political realignment there?
Yes, we can say it because the opposition is targeting the government. The government is facing a huge protest by the common people, especially the youth. The Nepali youth is on road. They are protesting, continuously protesting against government. They are raising questions on not only on social media ban, but on corruption, on unemployment and other issues. So, Prime Minister Oli called a cabinet meeting today evening at around 6 p.m. and after the meeting, PM met the top leaders of the coalition parties. So the situation is very tense, and Kathmandu and some other districts are witnessing curfew. The situation is like the protest is spread all over the Nepal. Many districts have witnessed protests by the youth. The youth is raising questions not only on the social media ban, but inaction on unemployment and corruption issue. So Oli is facing double issue because of protests by the common people as well as the opposition. So continuously the top officials and the top leaders, they are meeting, they are trying to find out some solution over this issue. But as of now, many cities are witnessing curfew. The security has been beefed up. If we talk about Indian borders, especially the UP and Bihar borders, the security has been intensified, and the security agencies are monitoring the situation. So Rupediha, Sumsari, and some other districts, they are also among those who are witnessing curfew now, and the youth have said that they are not only protesting against the social media ban, but the inaction of government over especially over unemployment and corruption. So today was a very tough day for Nepal, and if we see tomorrow, all schools in Kathmandu and some other districts have declared closed. So tomorrow and probably day after tomorrow also, the schools will remain closed. The markets, obviously, they are closed due to curfew, and the situation is not very much normal now.
All right, Ranveer Singh, thank you very much for getting us all those details. Well, a massive political crisis is unfolding in France. The Prime Minister of France, François Bayrou, he is set to resign. In fact, marking the collapse of the President Emmanuel Macron's government. Yet again, this is the fourth Prime Minister that Macron has lost in just 20 months, and the second government collapse in less than a year. The entire turmoil, it raises serious questions about Macron's authority, his ability to govern with a fractured parliament, and the stability of France at a time of economic strain and far-right resurgence in the country. And my colleague Vishal Vivek joins us to get us more on this. Vishal, what exactly triggered this collapse and what happens next for France?
Well, it was the PM himself who had called for this confidence vote in which he wanted to pass this controversial bill which would have curtailed some of the rights of citizens and cut down on some of the public holidays. It was already an unpopular bill. Unexpectedly, the number of people who voted against the bill rose up to as much as 384, which is far above the limit required for the government to collapse. And as a result, it has collapsed. And it's not a surprise also because it's in the last 20 months, as you rightly mentioned, 4 times the government has collapsed, 4 PMs have been replaced, and now we'll have a 5th PM or no one really knows what will happen because French President Macron has his task cut out now because he will have to gauge through a minefield of politics at the moment because he won't have any options. If he replaces another PM, which would most likely be a centrist PM, that will be, struck down by both sides, both right and left will probably reject that kind of candidate. So Macron is in a tight space at the moment. His chair is not, at threat because he will rule until 2027. That's how the constitution of France is. But the PM's chair signifies that the government has been quite unsteady, and France is one of the biggest economies in the world, one of the richest countries in the world. But surprisingly, its economy has been under tremendous pressure in the recent past. It's actually the government bond that's issued. It's under tremendous pressure. It's under more pressure than the Greek or the Spanish bonds, which traditionally have been under pressure throughout. So all of that will have to be seen. Macron will have his task cut out. What will happen, only time will tell. But at this moment, French government is quite unsteady. The economy is unsteady. So the people will start raising questions now as to what the government will do because nobody seems to have a clear answers to these questions.
All right, Vishal Vivek there. Thank you very much for getting us all those details. Well, the stage is set for the vice presidential election in India with both the NDA and the opposition parties organizing meetings and even mock polls to prepare their MPs' voting process. This rehearsal, it aims to ensure clarity and coordination among the members of both the India bloc as well as the NDA, and especially as tensions rise over procedural concerns and political messaging because the numbers, they matter, and also the margin of victory or loss. Meanwhile, the regional parties like the BJD and the BRS, they have chosen to abstain, citing unresolved issues such as fertilizer shortages and farmer distress, adding another layer of complexity to the electoral landscape.
Why BRS has decided not to take part in the vice presidential elections?
Well, BRS party, the leadership, for the last 1 month, we've been highlighting the issue of farmers. And our leader has repeatedly said that there is a severe farmers' fertilizer crisis in Telangana, and we're in the midst of a campaign, an important election like the vice president, and there the farmers are facing these hardships. Please rescue We made representations, we spoke in Parliament, we spoke in the Assembly, we tried to sensitize both the governments, Delhi and Hyderabad. Nothing worked. So we were left with no other option but to, abstain. Abstaining probably may not matter much in terms of number. But the question is, we abstaining for this specific reason, we are confident could probably bring in some relief to the farmers.
Discussions by our Honorable Party President Shri Naveen Patnaik ji with the party's senior leaders, Political Affairs Committee and MPs, the Biju Janata Dal has decided to abstain from the vice presidential elections tomorrow. The BJD remains equidistant from both NDA and India alliances. We are focused on the development and welfare of Odisha and 4.5 crore people of Odisha.
How important is this vice presidential election for the DMK, particularly when NDA has its numbers?
No, it is very important to have this election because this is a part of the democratic process, and it doesn't mean that we have to let it go unchallenged, whoever the candidate from NDA is. Let us wait for the votes to be counted. We cannot do SIR in this, no? So obviously let's wait for the votes to be counted.
Is it a delicate situation for the DMK that you are forced to oppose a candidate from Tamil Nadu, in this case Mr. Radhakrishnan?
No, it is not a delicate situation at all because the Chief Minister has been very clear that this is an ideological fight. It is not about any individual. It is an ideological fight, and it's a fight for democracy. So we are not confused, or we have no regrets about fielding a candidate from the opposition.
Meanwhile, the BJP has attacked the India bloc, asking questions such as why did Sudarshan Reddy meet Lalu Yadav? The BJP says that Lalu is not an MP, he has no vote, he is in fact a fodder scam convict, and it is a shocking statement on probity, is what the BJP says.
देश के सोल को बचाने के लिए मुझे वोट दें, ये है उनका कमेंट जो अखबार में आया है और उन्होंने वीडियो रिलीज किया है। और ये देखिए, देश के सोल को बचाने के लिए वो किससे मिल रहे हैं? लालू प्रसाद से। लालू प्रसाद फॉर्डर स्कैम में कन्विक्टेड हैं। आप किस तरह के रिटायर्ड सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जज हैं? जो व्यक्ति कन्विक्टेड है किसमें? स्कैम में, करप्शन में। जो व्यक्ति कन्विक्टेड है स्कैम और करप्शन में, आप जाके उनसे मिलते हैं।
कौन है ये बीजेपी में महानुभाव? रविशंकर प्रसाद ने सवाल किया। हाँ, रविशंकर जी कितनी बार मिलने जाते हैं मैं बताऊं? सुशील मोदी जी की कितनी मुलाकात होती थी? अभी के कितने मंत्री और प्रधानमंत्री जी किन किन मंचों पे मिले हैं? मतलब कुछ तो शालीनता रखिए बरकरार रविशंकर जी। यू आर डेस्परेट टू बिकम अ मिनिस्टर वंस अगेन। आप जिस व्यक्ति के बारे में टिप्पणी कर रहे हैं ना, उस व्यक्ति ने बिहार का सत्ता समीकरण बदल दिया। हाँ, उसको थोड़ा ध्यान में रखिए, आईना सामने रखा कीजिए। इस तरह की ओछी अशोभनीय टिप्पणियों के लिए कम से कम बिहार में कोई जगह नहीं। चिंता करिए इस बात की।
The Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he will be visiting Himachal Pradesh and Punjab on Tuesday to assess the flood situation and also review the ongoing relief and rehabilitation effort in both the states. According to officials, the Prime Minister will depart from Delhi at around noon and arrive at Pathankot Air Base, from where he will travel to Kangra in Himachal Pradesh, where he will conduct an aerial survey of areas that have been affected by floods and landslides.
Right now we are reporting from Gurdaspur. First of all, I'll request my Vijay to show all these pictures from ground. We have seen how the security had already been beefed up at Gurdaspur in wake of Prime Minister visit. We have seen Prime Minister is visiting the various
flood affected areas to just assess how much damage has been taken place, because we have seen earlier the Union Agriculture Minister has also visited and he had given a detailed report to Prime Minister that how much loss and how much damage has been taken place in the state of Punjab, because we have seen the border districts were worst affected, but we are showing all these pictures from ground how the security had been beefed up in district Gurdaspur in wake of our Prime Minister visit. We have seen the police official, they are keeping an eye over movement of each and every vehicle which is entering towards Gurdaspur and leaving from the Gurdaspur towards various villages and other cities. With Vijay, Rajesh Kumar, this is Group Singh China for NDTV, Gurdaspur, Punjab.
Time for a very short break. More news and updates on the other side.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I'm the medical officer of this unit, sir.
Good afternoon. So nice to meet you.
Thank you, sir. Same this side, sir.
So this is the firing range.
Yes, sir. This is our firing range, sir.
You handle weapons, right? I've handled weapons. Yeah, हम लोग एक तो shooting में we get to handle weapons.
Yes.
They are not real guns, but they are very similar. So the functioning of it is very similar.
आपने training वगैरह?
मैंने training भी ली है और I own a weapon also, licensed weapon. So I've shot in firing ranges in Mumbai and all. I'm a member also there. Wow. मैम हम ये क्या गन देख रहे हैं?
ये इंसास राइफल है, sir.
So this is Indian made?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
And we'll be firing from, sir, AK-203.
Okay.
That is Indian made,
That
sir.
is also Indian.
Yes, sir.
Can I look at the bullets?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. This is the bullet of insas, sir. The bullet will be different for the AK-203, sir.
So I can fire this?
Yes, sir.
But somebody needs to guide me.
जो लिम्बर आपके आदेश पर आप लाइन पोजीशन लेंगे।
अच्छा।
और इसके बाद इसको यहाँ पर आप
सपोर्ट लेंगे। करेक्ट।
लिम्बर आप में आप लाइन पोजीशन और बाट और खंडे का मिलाप रखते हुए और आप फोरहैंड ग्रिप पर पकड़ते हुए सीज का अलाइनमेंट करें। बर की आदेश पर आप मैगजीन वेट की अंदर पर घुसाना है।
ओके। आगे सर। हाँ चलिए।
फायर लाइन ऑफ। हाँ लिम्बर ऑफ। फायर भर। चलो सामने टारगेट। अपना टाइम पर 5 राउंड फायर।
Welcome back. Tension gripped Madhu town in Mandya district after communal clashes erupted during Lord Ganesha idol immersion on Sunday. The situation had turned volatile following stone pelting allegedly by miscreants from another community led to widespread unrest. According to police sources, in fact, it started when people were taking part in the Ganesh immersion procession in Ram Rahim Nagar. Clashes broke out between youths from both communities, forcing police to intervene. The district administration, it has appealed to both the communities to cooperate with law enforcement to restore normalcy.
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಸೀದಿ ಮುಂದೆ ಮೆರವಣಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುವಾಗ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗಲಾಟೆ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಲಘು ಲಾಠಿ ಪ್ರಹಾರ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ನವರು. ಯಾಕಂತಂದರೆ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ನವ್ರು ಮಾತ್ರ ನೀವು ನಿಲ್ಬೇಡಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳಿಲ್ಲ ಅವರು. ಗುಂಪು ಕಟ್ಟಿಕೊಂಡು ಗಲಾಟೆ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಲಘು ಲಾಠಿ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸುಮಾರು 21 ಜನ ಅರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ.
ತಪ್ಪಿತಸ್ಥರ ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕ್ರಮ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಯಾರು ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಹಿಂದೂಗಳು ಮಾಡಲಿ ಮುಸಲ್ಮಾನರು ಮಾಡಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವುದೇ ಮಾಡಲಿ ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಾನೂನು ರೀತಿಯ ಕ್ರಮ ತಗೊಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ನಡೆದಿಲ್ಲ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ, ಮದ್ದೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಂಗಾಗಿದೆ.
What is this nonsense it is happening? And they are pelting stones from a religious structure, from a masjid. Why can't state government instruct the police to take preventive action?
And actor Rajinikanth and Kamal Haasan, they are set to act together after 46 long years. In fact, Kamal Haasan confirmed while speaking at a private event, there was a lot of speculations of Rajinikanth and Kamal Haasan coming together. There was no much detail that was revealed, but speculation suggests that director Lokesh Kanakaraj is likely to direct this particular movie. And a federal appeals court on Monday upheld a civil jury's findings that President Donald Trump must pay $83.3 million US dollars to E. Jean Carroll for his repeated social media attacks against the longtime advice columnist after she accused him of sexual assault. A three-judge panel of the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals rejected Trump's appeal of the defamation award, finding that the jury's damages awards are fair and reasonable. Trump had argued the damages were unreasonably excessive and pushed for a new trial in light of the Supreme Court's expansion of presidential immunity. And the Israeli foreign minister spoke exclusively to NDTV. He spoke about boosting India-Israel ties. The bilateral investment treaty has been sealed between the two countries. This treaty paves the way for a free trade deal between India and Israel. The finance ministers, they signed this treaty in Delhi.
Hello and welcome to NDTV. I'm Aditya Raj Kaul. Just now, minutes ago, a historic deal has been signed between India and Israel, and this is the bilateral investment deal. To talk more about that, joining us exclusively here on NDTV is the Israeli finance minister, Mr. Smotrich. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for hosting me.
Well, I want to begin by asking you about this historic deal. How was this achieved and what is the main objective that Israel has behind this?
אני אתחיל בזה שהודו וישראל חולקות הרבה מאוד מכנה משותף.
I'll begin by saying that Israel and India have a lot in common.
גם בעבר וגם בהווה.
In the past and in the present.
שתי אומות מאוד עתיקות עם תרבות ומורשת מאוד עמוקה.
Two ancient nations and civilizations with ancient traditions and heritage.
כן, אומות שמחברות את התרבות העתיקה עם המציאות המודרנית.
Nations that unite ancient heritage with the contemporary reality.
מדינות שמשלבות לאומיות, דת ודמוקרטיה.
Nations that both integrate nationalism, religion and democracy.
שתי המדינות היו תחת המנדט הבריטי עד סוף שנות ה-40 של המאה הקודמת.
Both nations were under the British rule until the end of the 40s.
אתם קיבלתם עצמאות ב-1947, אנחנו שנה אחת אחר כך, 1948.
You were independent in 1947 and Israel 1 year later in 1948.
וגם היום, שתי המדינות מתמודדות עם טרור איסלאמי מסוכן, אכזרי וחסר הבחנה.
And today also, both nations contend with Islamic terrorism, which is dangerous and indiscriminate in its damage.
ולא פעם אנחנו נדרשים להתמודד עם צביעות בינלאומית שמבקשת לשלול מאיתנו את הזכות להגן על עצמנו.
Many times we also have to contend with the hypocrisy of the international community that attempts to stop us from addressing these threats.
המכנה המשותף הזה יכול וצריך לבוא לידי ביטוי גם בשיתופי פעולה כלכליים מאוד מאוד חזקים.
These commonalities should also manifest in extensive economic cooperation.
וההסכם ההיסטורי שחתמנו עליו הבוקר כאן,
and the historical treaty that we signed this morning,
קודם כל אומר שהממשלות שתיהן מעודדות את החברות הפרטיות להשקיע כל אחת במדינה האחרת.
First of all, this treaty says that both governments, this historical treaty says that means that both governments are encouraging the private sector to forge mutual investments.
אנחנו מייצרים סביבה רגולטורית שנותנת ביטחון, ודאות ויציבות להשקעות.
And we are creating a regulatory framework that will give security, stability and
ודאות.
And certainty for investments.
לעשרות שנים של חיי ההשקעה.
For decades of investments to come.
כולל התחייבות של שתי הממשלות להגן על ההשקעות של החברות הזרות.
Including securities given by the governments to protect each other's investments.
לא להפלות אותן,
not to discriminate,
לשמור על זכויות הקניין שלהם,
to respect the property rights,
וכולל מנגנון בוררות ליישוב סכסוכים בהסכמה. מכניזם,
a mechanism for adjudicating disputes that may arise.
News now from Mexico. A train slammed into a double-deck bus northwest of Mexico City early Monday, killing at least 8 people and injuring 45. This is what the authorities have said. The uber cool and prestigious MTV Video Music Awards took place in New York last night, celebrating the best of pop music videos. Pop stars Sabrina Carpenter, Ariana Grande and many more bring their most fabulous selves to the stage. My colleague Mayank Chaudhary has all the details.
Remember Princess of Pop Britney Spears dancing with a yellow snake? Or Lady Gaga shocking everyone in her infamous meat dress? The annual MTV Video Music Awards are a cultural reset. It not only honors the bold and the beautiful videos from pop music, but has an image to be the most provocative award show of the year.
And the VMA goes to Lady Gaga.
The 2025 VMAs took place in New York City, with pop music's biggest names showing up for the night. The always out-of-the-box Lady Gaga took home 4 Moon Persons, including Artist of the Year. The ultimate pop art rulers, in a classic
for Tamil Nadu 2026 is open now.
After Chief Minister Stalin
Krishnan and opposition Sudarshan Reddy take on each other. BJD and the BRS set to abstain from voting. Nepal in turmoil. Over 19 people have been killed and 347, around 500 people injured in the protests. The Nepal Prime Minister, in the meanwhile, refuses to lift the social media ban, and amid the uproar, Nepal Home Minister steps down. The Supreme Court asks the Election Commission to consider Aadhaar as document for identity of voter in Bihar SIR. The court said Aadhaar must be accepted as the 12th document to establish identity of an individual. The situation turned volatile in Maddur town in Mandya district following stone pelting allegedly by miscreants from another community during Ganpati immersion. Extra policemen have been deployed to maintain peace. The BJP, in the meanwhile, has called for a bandh tomorrow over the incident. Congress MP's shocking remark on the Hazratbal Shrine Vandalism Act. The Congress MP, Tariq Anwar, he says, what is done is done. Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Osama Shah. Nepal is in turmoil, and Home Minister Ramesh Lekhak, he has tendered his resignation amid nationwide uproar after at least 20 people were killed and hundreds have been injured in the sprawling youth-led Gen Z protests against a sweeping social media ban and perceived government corruption. Nepal, ladies and gentlemen, it is witnessing one of its biggest youth-led uprising in the recent years, and the Prime Minister, he has been unwilling to relent. He says that the ban on all the social media apps will remain. And my colleague Ranveer Singh joins us on the phone line to get us more on this. Ranveer, is there any possibility that this crisis, it could destabilize the government in Nepal or in a way trigger political realignment there?
Yes, we can say it because the opposition is targeting the government. The government is facing a huge protest by the common people, especially the youth. The Nepali youth is on road. They are protesting, continuously protesting against government. They are raising questions on not only on social media ban, but on corruption, on unemployment and other issues. So, Prime Minister Oli called a cabinet meeting today evening at around 6 p.m. and after the meeting, PM met the top leaders of the coalition parties. So the situation is very tense, and Kathmandu and some other districts are witnessing curfew. The situation is like the protest is spread all over the Nepal. Many districts have witnessed protests by the youth. The youth is raising questions not only on the social media ban, but inaction on unemployment and corruption issue. So Oli is facing double issue because of protests by the common people as well as the opposition. So continuously the top officials and the top leaders, they are meeting, they are trying to find out some solution over this issue. But as of now, many cities are witnessing curfew. The security has been beefed up. If we talk about Indian borders, especially the UP and Bihar borders, the security has been intensified, and the security agencies are monitoring the situation. So Rupediha, Sunsari, and some other districts, they are also among those who are witnessing curfew now, and the youth have said that they are not only protesting against the social media ban, but the inaction of government especially over unemployment and corruption. So today was a very tough day for Nepal, and if we see tomorrow, all schools in Kathmandu and some other districts have declared closed. So tomorrow and probably day after tomorrow also, the schools will remain closed. The markets, obviously, they are closed due to curfew, and the situation is not very much normal now.
All right, Ranveer Singh, thank you very much for getting us all those details. Well, a massive political crisis is unfolding in France. The Prime Minister of France, François Bayrou, he is set to resign. In fact, marking the collapse of the President Emmanuel Macron's government. Yet again, this is the fourth Prime Minister that Macron has lost in just 20 months, and the second government collapse in less than a year. The entire turmoil, it raises serious questions about Macron's authority, his ability to govern with a fractured parliament, and the stability of France at a time of economic strain and far-right resurgence in the country. And my colleague Vishal Vivek joins us to get us more on this. Vishal, what exactly triggered this collapse and what happens next for France?
Well, it was the PM himself who had called for this confidence vote in which he wanted to pass this controversial bill which would have curtailed some of the rights of citizens and cut down on some of the public holidays. It was already an unpopular bill. Unexpectedly, the number of people who voted against the bill rose up to as much as 384, which is far above the limit required for the government to collapse. And as a result, it has collapsed. And it's not a surprise also because it's in the last 20 months, as you rightly mentioned, 4 times the government has collapsed. 4 PMs have been replaced. And now we'll have a 5th PM or no one really knows what will happen because French President Macron has his task cut out now because he will have to gauge through a minefield of politics at the moment because he won't have any options. If he replaces another PM, which would most likely be a centrist PM, that will be struck down by both sides, both right and left will probably reject that kind of candidate. So Macron is in a tight space at the moment. His his chair is not, at threat because he will rule until 2027. That's how the constitution of France is. But the PM's chair signifies that the government has been quite unsteady. And France is one of the biggest economies in the world, one of the richest countries in the world. But surprisingly, its economy has been under tremendous pressure in the recent past. It's actually the government bond that's issued. It's under tremendous pressure. It's under more pressure than the Greek or the Spanish bonds, which traditionally have been under pressure throughout. So all of that will have to be seen. Macron will have his task cut out. What will happen, only time will tell. But at this moment, French government is quite unsteady. The economy is unsteady. So the people will start raising questions now as to what the government will do, because nobody seems to have a clear answers to these questions.
All right, Vishal Vivek there. Thank you very much for getting us all those details. Well, the stage is set for the vice presidential election in India, with both the NDA and the opposition parties organizing meetings and even mock polls to prepare their MPs for the voting process. This rehearsal, it aims to ensure clarity and coordination among the members of both the India bloc as well as the NDA, and especially as tensions rise over procedural concerns and political messaging, because the numbers, they matter, and also the margin of victory or loss. Meanwhile, the regional parties like the BJD and the BRS, they have chosen to abstain, citing unresolved issues such as fertilizer shortages and farmer distress, adding another layer of complexity to the electoral landscape.
Why BRS has decided not to take part in the vice presidential elections?
Well, BRS party, the leadership, for the last 1 month, we've been highlighting the issue of farmers. And our leader has repeatedly said that there is a severe farmers' fertilizer crisis in Telangana, and we're in the midst of a campaign, an important election like the vice president, and there the farmers are facing these hardships. Please rescue. We made representations, we spoke in parliament, we spoke in the assembly, we tried to sensitize both the governments, Delhi and Hyderabad. Nothing worked. So we were left with no other option but to, abstain. Abstaining probably may not matter much in terms of number. But the question is, we abstaining for this specific reason, we are confident could probably bring in some relief to the farmers.
Discussions by our Honorable Party President Shri Naveen Patnaik ji with the party's senior leaders, Political Affairs Committee and MPs, the Biju Janata Dal has decided to abstain from the vice presidential elections tomorrow. The BJD remains equidistant from both NDA and India alliances. We are focused on the development and welfare of Odisha and 4.5 crore people of Odisha.
How important is this vice presidential election for the DMK, particularly when NDA has its numbers?
No, it is very important to have this election, because this is a part of the democratic process, and it doesn't mean that we have to let it go unchallenged, whoever the candidate from NDA is. Let us wait for the votes to be counted. We cannot do SIR in this, no? So obviously let's wait for the votes to be counted.
Is it a delicate situation for the DMK that you are forced to oppose a candidate from Tamil Nadu, in this case Mr. Radhakrishnan?
No, it is not a delicate situation at all, because the Chief Minister has been very clear that this is an ideological fight. It is not about any individual. It is an ideological fight, and it's a fight for democracy. So we are not confused, or we have no regrets about fielding a candidate from the opposition.
Meanwhile, the BJP has attacked the India bloc, asking questions such as, why did Sudarshan Reddy meet Lalu Yadav? The BJP says that Lalu is not an MP, he has no vote, he is in fact a fodder convict, and it is a shocking statement on probity, is what the BJP says.
देश के सोल को बचाने के लिए मुझे वोट दें, ये है उनका कमेंट जो अखबार में आया है और उन्होंने कोई वीडियो रिलीज किया है. और ये देखिए, देश के सोल को बचाने के लिए वो किससे मिल रहे हैं? लालू प्रसाद से। लालू प्रसाद फॉर्डर स्कैम में कन्विक्टेड हैं। आप किस तरह के रिटायर्ड सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जज हैं? जो व्यक्ति कन्विक्टेड है किसमें? स्कैम में, करप्शन में। जो व्यक्ति कन्विक्टेड है स्कैम और करप्शन में, आप जाके उनसे मिलते हैं।
कौन है ये बीजेपी में महानुभाव?
रविशंकर प्रसाद ने सवाल किया।
हाँ, रविशंकर जी कितनी बार मिलने जाते हैं मैं बताऊं? सुशील मोदी जी की कितनी मुलाकात होती थी? अभी के कितने मंत्री और प्रधानमंत्री जी किन किन मंचों पे मिले हैं? मतलब कुछ तो शालीनता रखिए बरकरार रविशंकर जी। यू आर डेस्परेट टू बिकम अ मिनिस्टर वंस अगेन। आप जिस व्यक्ति के बारे में टिप्पणी कर रहे हैं ना, उस व्यक्ति ने बिहार का सत्ता समीकरण बदल दिया। हाँ, उसको थोड़ा ध्यान में रखिए, आईना सामने रखा कीजिए। इस तरह की ओछी अशोभनीय टिप्पणियों के लिए कम से कम बिहार में कोई जगह नहीं। चिंता करिए इस बात की।
The Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he will be visiting Himachal Pradesh and Punjab on Tuesday to assess the flood situation and also review the ongoing relief and rehabilitation effort in both the states. According to officials, the Prime Minister will depart from Delhi at around noon and arrive at Pathankot Air Base, from where he will travel to Kangra in Himachal Pradesh, where he will conduct an aerial survey of areas that have been affected by floods and landslides.
Right now we are reporting from Gurdaspur. First of all, I'll request my Vijay to show all these pictures from ground. We have seen how the security had already been beefed up at Gurdaspur in wake of Prime Minister visit. We have seen Prime Minister is visiting the various flood affected areas to just assess how much damage has been taken place, because we have seen earlier the Union Agriculture Minister has also visited and he had given a detailed report to Prime Minister that how much loss and how much damage has been taken place in the state of Punjab, because we have seen the border districts were worst affected, but we are showing all these pictures from ground how the security had been beefed up in district Gurdaspur in wake of our Prime Minister visit. We have seen the police official, they are keeping an eye over movement of each and every vehicle which is entering towards Gurdaspur and leaving from the Gurdaspur towards various villages and other cities. With Vijay, Rajesh Kumar, this is Group Singh China for NDTV, Gurdaspur, Punjab.
Time for a very short break. More news and updates on the other side.
ब्रेकिंग न्यूज का जमाना है। सबको तिल का ताड़ और राई का पहाड़ बनाना है। ऐसे में जनता के जूते के अंदर फंसा कंकड़ कौन देखे? बड़े बड़े मुद्दों के शोर में जमीन से जुड़े मुद्दे अक्सर खो जाते हैं। लेकिन देश तरक्की तब करता है जब जनता के माथे की शिकन हमारी हेडलाइंस बनती है। मैं सैयद सुहेल भारत को जीता हूं, भारत की बात बताता हूं एनडीटीवी इंडिया पर।
Across the country, he has tracked the pulse of power from Washington to Korea. Witnessed history being made in global capitals and conflict zones, brought clarity to complex issues of national security and
Welcome back. Tension gripped Madhu town in Mandya district after communal clashes erupted during Lord Ganesha idol immersion on Sunday. The situation had turned volatile following stone pelting allegedly by miscreants from another community led to widespread unrest. According to police sources, in fact, it started when people were taking part in the Ganesh immersion procession in Ram Rahim Nagar. Clashes broke out between youths from both communities, forcing police to intervene. The district administration, it has appealed to both the communities to cooperate with law enforcement to restore normalcy.
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಸೀದಿ ಮುಂದೆ ಮೆರವಣಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುವಾಗ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗಲಾಟೆ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಲಘು ಲಾಠಿ ಪ್ರಹಾರ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ನವರು. ಯಾಕಂತಂದರೆ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ನವ್ರು ಮಾತು ನೀವು ನಿಲ್ಬೇಡಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ ಕೇಳಿಲ್ಲ ಅವರು. ಗುಂಪು ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಗಲಾಟೆ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಲಘು ಲಾಠಿ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸುಮಾರು 21 ಜನ ಅರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೆ.
ತಪ್ಪಿತಸ್ಥಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕ್ರಮ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಯಾರು ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಹಿಂದೂಗಳು ಮಾಡಲಿ, ಮುಸಲ್ಮಾನರು ಮಾಡಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾರೇ ಮಾಡಲಿ, ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಾನೂನು ರೀತಿಯ ಕ್ರಮ ತಗೊಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ನಡೆದಿಲ್ಲ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ, ಮದ್ದೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಂಗಾಗಿದೆ.
What is this nonsense it is happening? And they are pelting stones from a religious structure, from a masjid. Why can't state government instruct the police to take preventive action?
And actor Rajinikanth and Kamal Haasan, they are set to act together after 46 long years. In fact, Kamal Haasan confirmed while speaking at a private event. There was a lot of speculations of Rajinikanth and Kamal Haasan coming together. There was no much detail that was revealed, but speculation suggests that director Lokesh Kanakaraj is likely to direct this particular movie. And a federal appeals court on Monday upheld a civil jury's findings that President Donald Trump must pay $83.3 million to E. Jean Carroll for his repeated social media attacks against the longtime advice columnist after she accused him of sexual assault. A 3-judge panel of the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals rejected Trump's appeal of the defamation award, finding that the jury's damages awards are fair and reasonable. Trump had argued the damages were unreasonably excessive and pushed for a new trial in light of the Supreme Court's expansion of presidential immunity. And the Israeli foreign minister spoke exclusively to NDTV. He spoke about boosting India-Israel ties. The bilateral investment treaty has been sealed between the two countries. This treaty paves the way for a free trade deal between India and Israel. The finance ministers, they signed this treaty in Delhi.
Hello and welcome to NDTV. I'm Aditya Raj Kaul. Just now, minutes ago, a historic deal has been signed between India and Israel, and this is the bilateral investment deal. To talk more about that, joining us exclusively here on NDTV is the Israeli Finance Minister, Mr. Smotrich. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for hosting me.
Well, I want to begin by asking you about this historic deal. You know, how was this achieved and what is the main objective that Israel has behind this?
אני אתחיל בזה שהודו וישראל חולקות הרבה מאוד מכנה משותף.
I'll begin by saying that Israel and India have a lot in common.
גם בעבר וגם בהווה.
In the past and in the present.
שתי אומות מאוד עתיקות עם תרבות ומורשת מאוד עמוקה.
Two ancient nations and civilizations with ancient traditions and heritage.
כן, אומות שמחברות את התרבות העתיקה עם המציאות המודרנית.
Nations that unite the ancient heritage with the contemporary reality.
מדינות שמשלבות לאומיות, דת ודמוקרטיה.
Nations that both integrate nationalism, religion and democracy.
שתי המדינות היו תחת המנדט הבריטי עד סוף שנות ה-40 של המאה הקודמת.
Both nations were under the British rule until the end of the 40s.
אתם קיבלתם עצמאות ב-1947, אנחנו שנה אחת אחר כך, 1948.
You were independent in 1947 and Israel 1 year later in 1948.
וגם היום, שתי המדינות מתמודדות עם טרור אסלאמי מסוכן, אכזרי וחסר הבחנה.
And today also, both nations contend with Islamic terrorism, which is dangerous and indiscriminate in its damage.
ולא פעם אנחנו נדרשים להתמודד עם צביעות בינלאומית שמבקשת לשלול מאיתנו את הזכות להגן על עצמנו.
Many times we also have to contend with the hypocrisy of the international community that attempts to stop us from addressing these threats.
המכנה המשותף הזה יכול וצריך לבוא לידי ביטוי גם בשיתופי פעולה כלכליים מאוד מאוד חזקים.
These commonalities should also manifest in extensive economic cooperation.
וההסכם ההיסטורי שחתמנו עליו הבוקר כאן,
And the historical treaty that we signed this morning,
קודם כל אומר שהממשלות שתיהן מעודדות את החברות הפרטיות להשקיע כל אחת במדינה האחרת.
First of all, this treaty says that both governments.
Historical treaty.
This historical treaty says that means that both governments are encouraging the private sector to forge mutual investments.
אנחנו מייצרים סביבה רגולטורית שנותנת ביטחון, ודאות ויציבות להשקעות.
And we are creating a regulatory framework that will give security, stability,
ודאות.
and certainty for investments.
לעשרות שנים של חיי ההשקעה.
For decades of investments to come.
כולל התחייבות של שתי הממשלות להגן השקעות של החברות הזרות.
Including securities given by the governments to protect each other's investments.
לא להפלות אותן.
Not to discriminate.
לשמור על זכויות הקניין שלהם.
To respect the property rights.
וכולל מנגנון בוררות ליישוב סכסוכים בהסכמה. מכניזם.
A mechanism for adjudicating disputes that may arise.
News now from Mexico. A train slammed into a double-deck bus northwest of Mexico City early Monday, killing at least 8 people and injuring 45. This is what the authorities have said. The uber cool and prestigious MTV Video Music Awards took place in New York last night, celebrating the best of pop music videos. Pop stars Sabrina Carpenter, Ariana Grande and many more bring their most fabulous selves to the stage. My colleague Mayank Chaudhary has all the details.
Remember Princess of Pop Britney Spears dancing with a yellow snake? Or Lady Gaga shocking everyone in her infamous Me dress? The annual MTV Video Music Awards are a cultural reset. It not only honors the bold and the beautiful videos from pop music, but has an image to be the most provocative award show of the year.
Sabrina Carpenter!
The espresso singer Sabrina Carpenter won 3 awards, including Album of the Year, saying she would be very proud.
I'd like to thank myself for not giving up.
The ultimate pop
I can't believe I'm getting my first VMA tonight.
And gave a medley of her chart rulers. In a classic MC style, she casually wore a necklace worth $10 million. Overall, the MTV VMAs lived up to its reputation for being cool, kooky, and creatively entertaining.
That's all we have for you. Keep watching NDTV for more news and updates.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold?
Good evening and a very warm welcome to India Matters on Monday night. I'm Shiv Arur. It is election season. This is a country which is constantly... Is it really so abnormal anymore for persons to take downtime? The big political fight over Rahul Gandhi's latest foreign vacation is my lead story. But also what's happening in Nepal is something one of the biggest youth uprisings in our neighboring country of Nepal. A social media ban and rampant corruption in the Oli government in Kathmandu has led to incredible heart-stopping scenes on the streets of Kathmandu. That's expect next. But to start with, we've got some breaking news. 19 students and protest in the protests that have swept large parts of Nepal today as part of a youth uprising against the ban of social media apps like YouTube, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram and X. The Nepal government has issued its first official statement after a day of agitation and violence on the streets of Kathmandu and other major cities in Nepal. Nepal's Home Minister Ramesh Lekhak is likely to resign. He has offered to resign already. Very, very dramatic scenes in different parts of Kathmandu today. Lots of destruction and at least 19 people dead. Protesters and the opposition are demanding Nepal Prime Minister's resignation. The opposition is also calling for early elections. The party has condemned the brutal crackdown on protesters, largely comprised of youngsters from Gen Z. Sources say the Nepal cabinet will be meeting. In fact, it is already currently meeting. That meeting is underway. The India-Nepal border has been put on high alert. The Nepal army has been deployed and curfew has been imposed in different parts of Nepal. Remember, a large Indian population lives and works in Nepal as well. So India is monitoring the situation extremely closely. The Nepal government has banned 26 social media platforms, including all of the big ones, leading to a huge clampdown on freedom of speech, leading to these disturbing scenes with 19 dead and over 340 people critically injured in this protest. We have a full report coming up in just a short while from now. But our lead story tonight is it's that time of year and Rahul Gandhi is once again away from the country. This time reportedly in Langkawi, an idyllic island off the Malaysian coast. And the familiar political storm has begun even as Rahul Gandhi chills abroad. The BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party, the Congress party's principal rivals, have pounced, accusing Rahul Gandhi of being an absentee politician who disappears when the Punjab floods are at their peak, an entitled dynast who needs luxury downtime after a few days of hard politics on the streets of Bihar, and an unserious leader of the opposition who seems to validate every charge that he's not built for the grind of public life. Now, the optics are hard to ignore after a high-energy event like the Vote Adhikar campaign in Bihar and the devastation of floods in Punjab, a state the Congress ruled handsomely, remember, for decades. Rahul Gandhi's sudden scooter rides along the Malaysian coast are an easy contrast for his rivals to weaponize. Rahul Gandhi's defenders push back, as they always have, arguing that Rahul refuses to subscribe to Narendra Modi's relentless 24/7 routine, that he represents a new political culture where leaders can take time off, live balanced lives, and show that politics doesn't have to be all-consuming. They argue that this is modern, even aspirational, and will appeal to a young electorate that doesn't want its leaders to burn out on the job. I personally find myself conflicted on this tonight. In principle, everyone, politicians included, or maybe politicians especially, deserve downtime. Indian politics could use a little humanity and maybe a slower clock. But Rahul Gandhi's own track record makes this just a little tricky. With 2 decades of being mocked as a reluctant politician, flexing the freedom to vacation abroad every time the heat builds up is a risky message to send out, especially in election season. Forget voters. What about the Congress rank and file? After pouring their energy into a campaign, what do they make of their generals slipping away to a resort island instead of leading the next charge? Rahul's inner circle likely believes these trips are a signal of defiance, a way to say he won't bend to the expectations set by a workaholic Prime Minister who, by the way, heads to flood-hit Punjab tomorrow. But in the process, he keeps supplying oxygen to the perception that he's not fully in the fight. If politics is about narrative, Rahul Gandhi remains the single biggest contributor to the narrative that has haunted him now doggedly for 20 years. That he is here on his own terms occasionally and between flights. Like I said, this is a debate with 2 sides to it. On the one side, there is an entire army that says, well, this is the new world. This is how politicians in the rest of the world live. everyone has downtime, everyone has a private life, and they are not judged on that basis. They are only judged by their work. But the others will say, well, look at Rahul Gandhi's work. He has led the Congress to its most abysmal low in history. He has lost tens of elections over the decades. He has led the Congress to a historic situation where it is simply unable to fight for itself, and it remains a party that is in tatters at this point of time, some would say. So how can the two actually be reconciled? Let's go across now to talk about this for a second, because Rahul Gandhi isn't just a leader of the Congress, isn't just a member of parliament. He's also leader of the opposition and therefore represents a larger front against the government at a time when questions should undoubtedly be asked. Anand Ranganathan, scientist and author and commentator. Sanjay Jha, political analyst and lapsed congressman. Priyanka Kakkar is spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. Remember, both the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party separately have been taking pot shots at Rahul Gandhi over this particular vacation. Anand, you've heard my opening words. What would you say about this latest trip by Rahul Gandhi? It comes after, what was a high-octane, motorcycle campaign across Bihar. Like it or not like it, the fact is people were talking about it. It did have some resonance. And then off Rahul goes to Langkawi.
Good evening, Shiv, and good evening to my fellow panelists. Perhaps if I can begin by slightly correcting you, I don't think Sanjay is a lapsed congressman. I think he's a suspended congressman. He still believes that he is a congressman, even though the Congress party, I hope, resurrects Sanjay because he's an asset to them. Couple of points out here. Number one, I don't think Rahul Gandhi's body needs rest. It is the brain. What do I mean by that? I have absolutely no, opposition to any politician taking as many vacations as he or she wants, because I firmly believe that the purpose of a politician is to gauge what the public wants and then to formulate a policy and implement that policy. What do I mean by that? For example, you can have a politician drive a tractor or plow a field as much as he or she wants, and then the optics would be fantastic. Look, he's working hard, he's not vacationing. But the fact of the matter is, our policies, agricultural policies, are so against this sector and farmers. No matter how many tractors you drive, the farmers are still going to remain poor because the farm laws have not been implemented. So the very people who promised those farm laws, Rahul Gandhi being one in the Congress 2019 election manifesto, to have do away with APMCs, to do away with to the Essential Commodities Act emergency provision, and to have contract farming, all three were promised by him. And it's irrelevant to me whether he was plowing fields or driving tractors. But the fact is, the moment they were implemented by Modi, he took a U-turn. So what matters is the policies you formulate. For example, out here now you can have an optics of a politician, as you had Mr. Shivraj Chauhan, touring the flood-affected areas. You have many politicians doing that. And Rahul Gandhi is getting brickbats because he's not doing it. For me, it's irrelevant because the floods have been caused by non-implementation of river linking, of not having proper dams. So the politicians are at fault not by not touring the areas or not spending time amongst people. The politicians are at fault, according to me, by having terrible policies or taking a U-turn on the policies that they promise for the people. Yeah. And to give Rahul the benefit of the doubt, I think he's worked hard. I mean, in the Bharat Jodo Yatra and the Bihar Yatra, so he can tour as much as he wants. Unfortunately, his policies are so anti-people, anti-India, that it doesn't matter. The optics will always be like that.
Sanjay, the optics are bad because there is nothing to support it. Anand argues that if the policies were strong, if the track record was strong, if there was consistency as far as political action was concerned, then he could have taken any vacation he wanted. But amidst a lack of that, these vacations are just 100% ammunition to the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party. And that's why they've been attacking him again. Sanjay.
Hi, good evening, Shiv, and to both the AAP representative and my friend Anand. Let me put